energy, still everybody's mad at me. Can't react to my body, 'cause it's begging me, cheat. Begging me to cheat. We'll see just how perfect I can. You're the too much to love me too much. Love me too
the stars. There are so
feeling some type of way. I wish I heard you say that maybe what I'm feeling isn't real and the ceiling is falling as my voice is calling for that feeling again. Watch me try to understand, but I can't possibly know. You make me feel alive. You make my lungs feel right.
Hello and good evening. Welcome everybody to this week's Belong Arena's Arena Clash Overwatch. You are not mistaken, I am wearing a waistcoat. I'm Big Hungry Phil, and to my left...
I'm Gio.
And we're here for two, hopefully, very fast-paced, very exciting games of Overwatch. We have, first off, Spartans v Harriers, followed by Saints versus Invincibles. And looks like it could be an interesting couple of maps.
I think actually we're really lucky that we're getting such good games today because both Spartans and Saints were in the finals for last season. Saints obviously took it, which may leave a little bit of a sting for Spartans. So we know that at least two of the teams that are going to be playing today are going to be really, really high level. And then we have, of course, Harriers, who have really mixed kind of skill levels in amongst their team, and so that means that, you know, it could be a little bit surprising. We could see some like really strong leadership come out and bringing the best in those kind of lower SR players. And then, of course, Invincibles, who we saw on week 1, who really impressed us. Yeah,
Invincibles going 3-0 against Enigma in their opening match. But just coming back briefly to what you said about mixed SR teams, we do see a lot of that at the Belong Arena's Arena Clash series, because obviously this is a community event. It's not...
It's all grassroots.
Yeah, it's grassroots. You know, don't go and just find the 5 best people in your area. Just, you know, let's get everyone that's interested involved. So yeah, let's have a look at the standings. So we're in week 3, and after 2 weeks already played, Invincibles sitting comfortably at the top of the Group 1 leaderboard.
They're actually drawn with Hunters at the moment, so it looks like Group 1's actually kind of close at the moment. We've got actually it's like 2-2, 1-1, 0-0s.
Yeah, that's right. We have enforced 2-2, everybody. I'm sure everybody in the Overwatch community will be happy to see we have enforced 2-2 at the very least in the score table. But yeah, certainly early lead for Invincibles and Hunters, Saints and Claymores, middle ground, Enigmas and Nighthawks still chasing that elusive W.
Yeah, and as we go into Group 2 here, we can see, unsurprisingly, Spartans sitting very comfortably at the top there. In fact, they're the only team on this group that actually are going 2-0 at the moment. So, of course, they're going to be out today to try and make that a 3-0.
Yeah, but it does mean for the rest of the table, Vikings, Harriers, Leviathans, Centurions, all of the 50% win rate, and it's just Brawlers who we did see play last week with that unfortunate 2L record. But, you know, still lots of games left to play. We could see them go up, you know, at least, hopefully, maybe one game coming up in the coming weeks.
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting to see those really close groups. But then we talk about close groups. This one, Group 3, is a little bit more jumbled up, as we see here. Again, we've got a kind of definite leader right now, but then also there's got a 1-0, 1-1, 0-1.
Yeah, there's some sort of binary message hidden there if you look closely. But it does mean that a couple of teams there are one match down compared to some of the others. So a little harder to gain any sort of idea of exactly who is where until we get those equalised games for Group 3.
And moving on to Group 4, finally, once again, another leader. I'm starting to sense a pattern, but we got the Swarm sitting at the top there, and then everyone else again. It's actually a similar thing to the last group that we just saw, where we have sort of like a different map differential for each team that is on the group.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting looking in the next few weeks as we start to get more and more games played, where we start to see bigger and bigger gaps in map differential and just in wins and losses in general.
That's always the really exciting thing about tournaments, in my opinion anyway, is especially when you are separated by groups and divisions, is you always kind of get to see what the personality of the division is, where it's sort of like, okay, is this a group where everything's really close, or is this a group that's really easily decided how it's going to go?
Yeah, I like the idea of keeping all of your teams contained in these little boxes so that, you know, they start to hate each other and then they get freed to go and hate some new teams.
They can't have their power unleashed. But yeah, here we go. We can see the rosters of the 2 first teams that we're going to be seeing for the first series.
Yeah, interesting to note that Moveface is subbing in actually from a Challengers level team. Spartans unable to field a full 6-person Champions roster today, so it's going to be interesting to see how Moveface slots into this lineup.
Yeah, he's got big shoes to fill. He's going to be filling in for Trix, who does take that main support role. And
wears a size 16 shoe.
Of course, you know, if they're going to be playing these kind of 3-3 compositions, which we know that Spartans actually like, they feel comfortable running those sorts of compositions, then playing that main support role is going to be really vital. And in some cases, that does take on the kind of shot calling responsibility, or at least part of that responsibility. So, not to put the pressure on Moveface, but there is going to be a weight on his shoulders.
But on the other hand, Spartans, they have quite a pedigree. You know, they've got players that were in top 5 Open Division teams. They've got Masters and Grandmasters players. So Moveface maybe not quite so much lifting having to be done by Moofacey, maybe getting a little bit of a leg up. It'd be a really good experience, I'm sure, to get some of the input from the higher level players on this team.
True, but one of the really important things that you have to remember is that if the enemy team can kind of find a weakness that they can exploit, that's going to be what their in is. And if it turns out that Moofacey is going to provide that to the Harriers, then Harriers are going to be able to figure out their own strategies to specifically get around Spartans, rather than running kind of like a generic strategy that could be easily cracked.
Yeah, but it's interesting that Moofacey is coming in the main support role, so this is a role that is typically protected by the rest of the team. So
you'd hope.
Hopefully, if the team is doing their job, then keep that main support alive, and they'll keep you alive. It's a nice little synergy that we get going here. But it does mean that hopefully they're not putting themselves in that position to be quite so easily exploited. And thinking about Harriers, we know that compared to Spartans, looking just in terms of raw SR and where people are on the ladder, it's a much broader range of people. We have a GM player, we have gold players in Harriers.
There's a lot of variety.
There is a huge amount of variety, and so it means that we are in a position where maybe Harriers, unless we get some really good leadership coming in from the GM level players, are not going to be so much in a position to exploit Moofacey.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Of course, last season they did go 1-3 by the end of the season, whereas of course Spartans went 4-0. So there is quite a discrepancy here. But I'm really interested to see if having this slight difference and in the roster and is going to kind of bring out some, I don't want to say luck, but bring out some opportunity for Harriers to kind of show what they could be made of.
Yeah, well, we are now getting ready to dive into our first map. We're, of course, going to we're going to Oasis, and this is the city centre, University. I always forget which one of these is which. Both teams running either directly Goats or a variant of Goats. We've got Spartans with Kotank starting on the Mei.
Yeah, and we know that Kotank is actually a very flexible player, so I'm really excited and interested to see what he can bring out with this Mei composition, especially as using those walls to block off just like he did there. There are actually a lot of other entrances and exits that could be used for Harriers.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate to lose your main tank so early, and just as a result entirely of Kotank's wall. It means that really that fight was over before it even began. Harriers being chased right the way back, and that's unfortunate. Mini on the Brigitte, just stopped by another Mei wall. And look at this Hammerfall, 98% of the way to an ultimate. Nothing really online for Harriers. In fact, they've had it change. Zach moving over onto the Anna, so nothing there yet. That's unfortunate. Hammerfall not quite connecting with the dive, with the charge. Doesn't matter, of course. Dog there with the high charge area there to take out Neo, and Neo falling first in the fight once again. Harriers need to be more careful. They need to protect their main tank coming into this if they stand a chance of taking these fights.
Yeah, and a really interesting thing that we did see there was Harriers actually originally came out on the Zenyatta and switched over onto the Anna, and yet in that second fight just then we saw that Anna was the first one to be taken down, so it definitely does look like the Spartans are going to be going for these support roles.
Yeah, seems to me like Harriers have finally secured a kill, but of course it's equalised straight away. It does seem like Harriers just need to spend a little bit more time getting together and moving as a unit, because they are continuously out of place and getting separated by these Mei walls.
And look at that use of bubbles there, just keeping Kotank safe. He did, of course, get brought down by Neo in the end there, but these are the things you want to be looking out for, is these team plays where they're taking care of one another, and it's looking like Harriers are actually starting to bring things back around.
Yeah, they finally started to turn this around, and I think in large part because Neo, having moved over onto the Winston Peak, was able to sort of mitigate the impact from Kotank's wall, but Spartans coming in with a lot of ults here. This is really their game to win. Unless Broken Sails can get off an absolutely huge Graviton Surge, and it would need to be the biggest of Graviton Surges, then Spartans have so many tools to counteract this coming in.
Oh, and there we go, using the Blizzard in conjunction with the Graviton Surge, really preventing the team from moving anywhere, even if they manage to not necessarily be in the Graviton Surge there, sorry. So it just means that it goes straight back into the Spartans' hand here, going up into the 60% now.
Yeah, Spartans coming in big with the Snow Globe play there. Dog taking out Zach, meaning with 65% left, or 56% already captured. Spartans looking in a really good position here, especially Hammerfall has had this Earth Shatter for the entirety of the game. They've not had to use it yet. So
well, that's something that you really want to be looking out for, because you don't want to be holding on to ultimates for too long, because it really stops you from being able to generate another one, and you're just sort of wasting your resources. But we hear it just now.
Yeah, lots of ultimates committed to the fight there. We saw that hammer down, that Earth Shatter finally coming in, and it has resulted eventually Moofacey getting the first kill of their career as a champions level player, securing the kill there. Dog with the follow up, taking out both supports on Harriers, and at 97%. Harriers have got to pull off an absolute miracle here to even contest the point.
Oh,
They've done it.
Maybe
They've sent someone into the back.
Maybe, and that's kind of important thing is where if a team is trying to push you back into your spawn, sometimes you can actually manage to get that one player to go back and prolong it out through overtime.
Yeah, I believe that was the green fire on the Lucio just coming into the back, but that's unfortunate. Just as I say their name, Feasdog with the melee kill onto green fire, and it is just clean up. We've got Broken Cells coming in, immediately smashed by the big German man into the snow globe, and that is map number 1 down.
Really nasty blizzard at the end there, just to kind of confirm the crowd control there, prevent anyone from actually making it onto the point. But I think one thing that I actually really liked coming out from Spartans on that map was the fact that they, as soon as they pushed Harriers back in the first fight, they were really holding them back in their own spawn, and they were really controlling the space there. And yes, Harriers managed to get their Lucio and their Wrecking Ball back onto the point, but at the end just kind of prolong overtime. But the control of the fights were really in Spartan's hands.
Yeah, but I'm interested to see Neo coming back out on the Reinhardt, because a number of times in that previous map, that Reinhardt was just not working out. So easy to split them off with the Mei wall. Obviously not a problem for Spartans not running the Mei wall, but to be not running the Winston in this configuration is a little bit surprising.
I mean, here on Gardens, it could be that they're trying to run this sort of protect the McCree composition. We see Broken Cells come out on the McCree instead of the Diva, actually, which is very interesting. But if you put all your resources into keeping that McCree safe, it could be that that's why they've got that Reinhardt shield the McCree and ensure that he can get as much value as possible.
Yeah, first kill though, first blood, a batter hungry Brigitte taking out the opposite number, taken out by Broken Cells, but immediately equalised. I was about to say, Spartans here looking to have just a much better grasp on their positioning, playing together as a unit, able to split apart Harriers, isolate targets and take them out of the fight, which means this is already flipped over, Spartans in control of the point.
It's looking to me like, so we're seeing these anti-nades be used from Zac there, but there's not really all that much follow-up, and it means that Spartans actually have the opportunity to be able to recover from them and just kind of keep pressing W and keep moving forward to be able to apply their aggression onto the Harriers.
But look at this positioning from Feasdog, incredibly aggressive up front, just trying to build up early charge, get some high energy levels, try and build that ultimate Urson quickly, and there we go, 98%. We're going to see that Graviton pop any second now, and look how many other ultimates are online for Spartan. They've got 3, they've got 4, and the big shatter comes in, gets almost all of Harriers, and that is just going to be broom sweep in time, bring out the hammer, sweep the dust off the point, ring the team kill bell. Spartans take it with 38% of control on point 2.
And they did that with just one of their ultimates, only with the Earth Shatter just there, which means that they do...
It's a pretty good ultimate though.
It's, I mean, yeah, if you can bring one out quite like that, but it means that they actually do have more waiting into this next fight, and they're being able to use their resources very well. But the Graviton Surge.
Yeah, and we're going to see the Deep Bomb maybe coming in over the top. No, just a little bit of a redirect there. Shatter comes in, catches Feasdog, Hammerfall getting one in the D-Mech. Broken Cells on the Diva managing to get in and equalise slightly, but it's not going to be enough because Moveface and Kotanks taking out the remaining 2 players is going to see 70% of the control for Spartans. Harriers not able to get a foot on this point yet. And again, we're seeing from Spartans pushing right the way up to spawn.
All the way up to spawn, and this is the time that Harriers need to actually be touching the point now, because if they don't get it in this next fight, it's looking very, very unlikely that they're going to be able to get a foot on this point, and that will be the map going to Spartans.
Yeah, we did see the hammer down come down again. Nothing caught in it this time, but another Graviton Surge. The green fire able to trap quite a number of people in there, buying a bit of space for Neo. We've got the Diva Bomb coming in. That self-destruct could be huge, but no, everyone managing to get out of the way. Spartans caught with the Earth Shadow once more. Diva Bomb in over the top. Feasdog going down, and Harriers look like they may be in a position to finally turn this point around.
Yeah, it's looking like they may be able to flip it, and it is definitely in the favour of the Spartans to actually just allow themselves to go back and come again. They've got it to 99% now, and they know that they probably have the confidence that they can come back and take it again. But seeing even you know, all the resources that came out, everything that was used, but Harry is finally managing to take that, and they do have both their support ultimates to hold them up through the next fight.
Yeah, they need to be clever about how they deploy these, though. Of course, the last thing we want to see is defensive ultimate stacking. That's the sort of stuff that loses fights, so watch out for clever ult positioning, but that's big. That gets a lot of people in it. Hammerfall and Kotanks taking down Mini and Neo in fractions of a second. We just have the ulting Zenyatta and Feasdog around the back looking to take out the Diva. Stopper coming into the point to recontest. DPS Stinky has committed Sound Barrier into the fight, but it's not going to be enough. We are just looking to see how much stall potential we have here with just the baby Diva left on the point.
Yeah, it's looking like Spartans, they're going to be able to take it back.
Oh no, here comes the Wrecking Ball.
Oh, they're touching, they're trying to touch. I think it's at this point going to be a little bit of a challenge for Harriers to actually be able to take this point.
Yeah, completely. You saw the second that... Oh, it's still going. They're still keeping this alive. I was about to go into wrap-up, but they have got it alive. I was going to say the second either of the tanks popped onto point, they were getting that Discord orb, so they had to pop right back again. It was a valiant effort. DPS Stinky living up to his namesake, DPS Stanky, not able to keep it alive, trying the best. The Moira from Zac on the point isn't going to be enough, and a stun and the flail onto the Reinhardt means that is going to be Spartans taking Oasis.
And I mean, I don't even know if you noticed it, but at the end, when Harriers were starting to kind of stagger into to prolong out the point that they had, I actually saw Hammerfall use another Earth Shatter, specifically to keep the green fire out the way and actually get him down, not be able to use anything, just get him out of the point. And it was just actually fairly disgusting.
This is the thing. Like, this is one of the bits of Overwatch play that is so vital in the sort of meta we're seeing at the minute. Is you have to have a good Reinhardt. You have to have a Reinhardt who can build those ultimates in fractions of a second, because then they just put your entire team on the ground and then treat you like a croquet ball, and that's it. You're done for.
I think that's the thing, right? Is that Spartans are just able to use all of this aggression and kind of know that they can support one another and hold each other together. And I think that's the thing. Is, you know, a number of these players have experience playing in things like Open Division. They've got this kind of scrim experience playing on teams, and they'll have these kinds of attitudes and almost like muscle memory to be able to hold up the rest of their team.
Yeah, I like to think about high-level Overwatchers as being a little bit like improvisational jazz. No one is just making stuff up in jazz. You learn all these building blocks and you put them together in the right way, and that's the sort of experience that playing in a top 5 OD team can give you. It gives you those jazz building blocks to play.
Here's the chromatic scale. Do something with it.
Exactly, yeah. But still, I think we can't necessarily count Harriers out just yet. They did manage to flip control of the point a couple of times, and we saw some nice adaptations. I think they realised that they were continuously getting their Reinhardt stuck behind May walls, singled out and taken out. Swapping over onto the Winston meant actually they were able to make a bit more progress, and they could get in on the fight and start carrying a bit more weight.
Yeah, and when Harriers actually brought out their own Earth Shatter as well, they got quite a lot of people down with it. I think the issue that I'm noticing with this team the most is there's the lack of follow-up that Spartans are having for themselves, and that's what they need to be ensuring that they're doing, is making sure that they are all staying together, and or at least all know what target that they're going to be going for and who's going to be performing what ultimate or what ability at any one time, and how to follow up at that and be able to capitalize upon it.
Yeah, you need to. It's not just enough to say, I have an ultimate, I'm going to use it. It's, I have an ultimate, I'm going to use it. You need to start getting some kills once I've put people on the ground. You've got to have a plan going into this. So Harriers, if you're out there and you're listening, a bit more planning going forward, and I'm sure we're going to see you take at least one map today.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I do hope so. Although Spartans, they're probably thinking, well, we didn't actually drop any maps in the regular season last season.
Yeah, so, I mean, there we go. That's incentive for you, Harriers. You can take a map off the currently one map loss. I don't even know how I want to finish that sentence, but they've lost one map. You can make it 2 with just a few adaptations.
Yeah, you can. It can be you.
9 easy steps.
9 easy steps.
9 easy steps.
We've only got 4 maps today.
Well, okay, the next time.
Not enough easy steps.
Okay, map number 2 though, and I gotta say, it's not my favourite map, but the birth of the pirate ship. It's Junkertown, everybody.
We're going to be seeing Harriers start off on that attack, which kind of means that they're going to really have to be learning about how to get through this almost indestructible wall that Spartans have proven themselves to be in order to progress that payload on. And it also means the pressure is on them to actually set the precedent for how far the payload has to go. And that's the kind of thing is why it's almost preferable to be the defending team when you're playing either an escort or a hybrid map, because then you know what your goal is, you know what you're going for. So.
Yeah, it's a lot about the mind game aspect of whether you're attacking or defending first for the payload style maps.
Yeah, definitely. But actually, Spartans obviously looking like they're going to be coming straight back out onto the sort of 3-3 composition. They did tell us that that's what they feel comfortable on, and so it might be unlikely that we actually see, you know, any kind of variety off the back of it. I don't want to to speak too soon, but I'm actually really liking if Harriers stick to this sort of sniper-centric composition.
Yeah, but look at this position from Spartans. They are just going to wait for Harriers to come around the side. Oh, but getting in, that was a nice stun, managing to stop too much aggression coming out from the Reinhardt. But we have seen people singled off from the group. Neo coming in, and they are forcing Spartans back into this house. It's unfortunate. Lionia finding the first kill, taking down Neo, and the second kill, taking out Mini. Wow, just the support lineup for Spartans here, taking up the DPS slots, I think.
Yeah, it's certainly looking like it. And the thing when you don't have a Zarya means that if you do get isolated, like we saw what happened with Neo, is you really don't have all that much protection. And so you are really relying on those DPS heroes like the Widowmaker, but they have subsequently just switched off. They are going with the Zarya instead, going to come out full force on their own 3-3.
Yeah, but it's going to be difficult because Spartans already have ults to play with. We've already seen the rally coming out. It's going to be so difficult for them to burst through this. They maybe need to make a couple of eco pushes, just build some ultimates, burn some ultimates up from Spartans, because right now it is a very difficult position to play in. We've got 3 tanks outside the door, and one of them has a Graviton Surge.
They do have a Graviton Surge, and it's going to be just a waiting game until that defense matrix is down, and they can just use it like that.
Wow, yeah, there we go. There's the Graviton Surge coming out, and Leonia and Padshak. Padshak, of course, playing with Belong Arenas since day one, getting his name right up into the kill feed.
And so far, what they've gone 4.37 meters, Harriers. I said they have to set a precedent, and I was thinking maybe a little bit more than this. I think they're just getting so overwhelmed, right, as Spartans just have no fear and going straight up onto that spawn, but they have backed up a little bit now, actually, in their positioning.
Yeah, the problem is they heard you say precedent, and they don't quite know how to do that. It's unfortunately Kotank's taking out just one with that self-destruct, but it's going to be enough just to completely split the team in. Poor DPS Stinky,
no.
but they can't secure the Baby Diva stagger because she just gets right back into
the
point.
Spawn.
Yeah.
I think actually Stinky is someone that we're seeing be bullied quite a lot here. You know, as the Diva, you want to be peeling, you want to be kind of going around to the most important members of your team, ensuring you're using that defense matrix to protect them from incoming projectile damage, and Stinky's trying so hard to do that, but Spartans are just so good at singling him out and ensuring that he actually can't do his job.
Okay, but Harriers have some tools now. They've got a couple of defensive ults, they've got the Graviton Surge, they've got an Earth Shatter. Speaking of Graviton Surge, out it comes, but of course it's coming out for Harriers, managing to get one on the back of that. It might not be enough, especially when Kotanks takes out your main tank. Hammerfall, though, with the Equalizer, that's going to be an unhappy time for Harriers, although we're going to see them forced right back into spawn.
It's just not going all that well for them, and the thing with Harriers is they're getting a member picked off, or, you know, they're having themselves be put in these kind of disadvantageous positions where they are lacking somebody, and we can see they're trying to switch things up, they're trying to play to Spartan's tune, and we've got less than a minute remaining now, and once again they're switching around, they're bringing out the McCree and the Anna, but entering in with the self-destruct.
It does actually bring Kotanks down very, very low. DPS Stinky getting right back in that mech. No one able to capitalise. And just look, ults coming online for Spartans. We've got, Feastdog taken down with the Graviton Surge online. Hammerfall taken down with the Earth Shatter online. Broken Cells completely cracked this wide open.
And it's looking like Broken Cells now is like, okay, this is who I like to play. I'm on my comfort pick now, and I'm going to do some stuff with it. And they're actually starting to get the payload moving, but they don't have loads of time that they can faff about and do this with. They still got to get round the corner, and you know, Spartans come and jump down from the top, which it looks like they're gonna do. Harriers could just find themselves be stalled out once again.
Yeah, and Harriers no ultimates left online, and we've got 4 online for Spartans, including a defensive ultimate. It's going to be so difficult for them to actually get anything done with this. Here we go, Deep Bomb coming in on top of the grab. It goes wide, though. Actually, it does take out Green Fire. Broken Cells going very, very low. Follow-up from Hammerfall taking them down. We've seen the Transcendence committed. It's going to be stay on the cart time. Stick to it like it's made of glue. Otherwise, we're going to see that overtime wick tick right the way down. And there's the D-Mech onto DPS Stinky. And that's going to be all she wrote for the offensive push for Harriers.
And it's looking like Spartans now, they're not actually going to have very far to take the cup for themselves. And actually something, it's almost kind of echoes what I was saying earlier, but something I noticed there is that Harriers, they brought out their own Earth Shatter right after Spartans did, and it actually got so many more people. When Hammerfall brought his own down, it actually only got one person in it. But as soon as Neo brought down his Earth Shatter, actually got a number of the members of Spartans, but there just wasn't the follow-up. There wasn't that capitalization that you need to actually be able to gain from it.
Yeah, we've just seen, I think it's maybe either lack of experience or lack of communication, certainly lack of target focus on the back of either of those two things. Again, guys, you just need to see if someone gets Earth Shattered, pick a target, take down that target. GG,
just
go
kill.
next. Yeah.
Just kill, lol.
Get kills, don't die. Overwatch 101.
Oh no, but look what Spartans are starting to do. It's your favourite, Phil.
Oh, good grief.
It's your favourite.
It's the pirate ship, everybody.
That's what it looks like they're going to be doing. And actually, I find it really interesting that Harry is bringing out the broken cells on the Genji. It's looking like they're actually going to stick with him playing on the DPS. And what I'm really interested to know is if they were suspecting the pirate ship. But in that case, oftentimes you would go for a Hanzo, because Hanzo can provide the shield break and also be able to have that long distance damage. But Genji has a deflect.
This is what I'm thinking. So if you can get the Genji into the right position, get the Zarya bubble on him, buy some time to get the deflect off, get a couple of shurikens into the face of that Bastion,
Especially
then that
if you
is a
use the
win
anti-nade
condition.
as well.
Exactly, yeah. Take out some of that healing. They have all the tools here. It just remains to be seen whether or not they can get them all in the right place. Lionia is not going to be too careless about that. And FeeZdog taking it. FeeZdog with a quick double. Cheek22 takes out Neo. Kotank's taking out Broken Styles. Are we going to hear the team kill bell? Is that everybody? Just Mini left. Do Green fire down. It's not going to quite be the team kill bell. Team kill's a little bit staggered there. But Spartans don't have very far to push this, and Harriers don't have much left to contest.
I think given, where the spawns are, the amount of time they have, Harriers may get one more fight in, because Spartans, they're moving the payload. They don't really have to get it very far. They have to get it 67.78 meters, and they're already the majority of the way there. Harriers, run!
Yeah, you've got to be on there. You've got to be on there, guys. You've got to be in it to win it. We're going to send Mini on the Brigitte in there to contest the point. It's big sleep. Not able to find the kill on the back of it, but we do get the biotic grenade kill, taking down Cheeky. The green fire taking out Hanzo, and what looked like a lost fight looks like it's going to be Win City for Harriers on this team fight.
Yeah, they're actually managing to get the W on this so far, it would seem.
But they've left FeeZdog completely uncontested in the back. And FeeZdog getting a quick double. They have finally sent the Wrecking Ball in to contest the Widowmaker.
2 HP, by the way.
Yeah, 2 HP BTW. Yeah, that's going to be... I was so close to winning that fight, and it's just a shame that FeeZdog was right in the back, able to use that positioning just to completely pick apart the team.
Yeah, and having that supercharger at the end there, providing the 50% damage boost, it sort of means that Spartans actually, they don't have to, even though they had plenty of time to be able to maybe go back and then try again, they actually knew that they didn't have to. They had the confidence to go through and, FeeZdog, we're going to see these headshots again, right?
this was pretty mad, honestly. This was dink. And dink.
Oh no.
Yeah, so you can't afford to leave a Widowmaker uncontested.
And then I'm pretty sure the Lucio. Yeah, there we go. And honestly, I mentioned that sleep as it happened, and I think that's one of the big things that we notice is Spartans have realized that Broken Cells is the one to look for. And to be honest, I don't think it takes that much. I mean, Broken Cells, he's the Grandmaster player on the team. He's obviously going to be their star player if they're going to have one, and they know who to look for. And obviously, how he came out with the McCree, it actually kind of changed how Harriers were doing, and so straight away they were like, well, we don't want him in our fight.
I like the idea of Broken Cells go, okay guys, no, I meant kills like this. McCree, get a couple of kills. Okay guys, so kills, just like that, just like we practiced.
Yeah, and I mean, using that Genji against the pirate ship composition is, not only does he have the dash so he could actually get in, and if he can get a kill, he can get straight out again, but the deflect is super valuable because if a Bastion is just throwing the minigun bullets out at you, you can just turn it straight back around on him, and it's one of the few heroes that you can actually hope to have some value against the Bastion on, and so it was absolutely really fantastic target prioritization there.
Yeah, it does make me wonder if we had seen maybe a D.Va coming out to help with that dive into the face of the Bastion, just a little bit more coordination on the top of that, maybe we would have seen that go a different way.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about as to kind of what the optimal composition would have been. And
we could do that for hours.
let's do some theory crafting, kids.
Yeah, stay behind after class. We'll do some basic theory crafting.
But that's also the thing when you have this kind of variety in SRs and skill levels and things like that, is that even if you have the right idea about how to go about something, it's not necessarily going to be how it's executed.
Yeah, correct. But Junkertown out of the way. We're going somewhere a little bit colder now. We're off to Volskaya Industries, where if you look carefully, you will see a dancing robot somewhere in the back.
And this is basically going to be match point. If Spartans take this map, then they've won the series. And Harriers, they're not going to want to be completely steamrolled, but they themselves are going to be starting on the attack once again.
Yeah, and if this is what they come out of spawn with, I'm going to be very interested. We don't often see a Roadhog in the composition. Probably more useful here to think about what Spartans are running on the defense.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to see this sort of quadruple DPS that it's looking like they're going with, which is something that's been pretty popularized in the last couple of months, especially on these assault maps like Volskaya Industries, where you can kind of let the Hammond, let the Wrecking Ball go and sort of do his own thing. And that's the important thing about running a Wrecking Ball instead of like a Winston, for example, is he can deal so much damage and he can be so, like, even irritating in the same way a Tracer is without relying on the support of the rest of the team, because he is relatively self-sustaining.
Yeah, but this is the sort of composition we are seeing a lot, particularly from some of the Chinese expansion teams in Overwatch League. So clearly some inspiration being had here from Spartans.
Yeah, thinking of Chengdu.
I'm always thinking of Chengdu, one of my favourite expansion teams.
Well, yeah, and of course, you know, if Harriers start hanging around in the spawn, it's looking like they're just changing up their composition for now, but if Spartans manage to continue sort of holding them back, then this is going to be really easy ult farming for players like Kotanks who can just fire in those rockets and actually build up a barrage.
Yeah, but of course they've failed to spot Padshak there, getting a cheeky hack off onto Neo. No one able to capitalise and actually get the kill. The Neo is falling rather low. Needs to be careful and back out here. Less than half health, and no one has yet turned to actually deal with Padshak. Padshak just has free reign over this team.
Well, the thing is, ultimately, who's going to do anything? I mean, Broken Cells, maybe if he can actually get a sight on him, but if he's standing there in stealth, he's not really going to know where to shoot. And the sad thing about Neo getting...
big stun, managing to get out of the way, though. Not quite enough capitalization, but it does mean that Kotanks is going to have to start treating Broken Cells with a little more respect than they were just showing them there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It looked like Padshak was actually really going for that. But did you see that, the EMP?
EMP coming off, getting 3, and the barrage coming in, not surviving the barrage, but taking out 2 is pretty good value for an ultimate that is more or less a really loud suicide button.
Well, that's part of being the Pharaohs. You sort of have to understand and accept that maybe I'm gonna die here, but am I gonna kill more people than than just myself?
It's all about the trade.
And ultimately, it did bring down all of Harriers, or at least it sent them all back. So you brought down, you know, a number of them. They decided they had to come back, and they Padshak back on the roof.
Yeah, but look at the target acquisition speed from Broken Cells was not particularly fantastic there. It took them a while to actually locate where they were being hacked from, and they have to know that Padshak is up there because they've been up there the entire game. Interesting that we see Mini swapping over onto the Wrecking Ball, and Neo going completely against form, having played both Winston and Reinhardt onto the Widowmaker. Thank you. Unfortunately, getting taken out by Hammerfall's mine. I would have loved to have seen exactly how that happened. Broken Cells with the highs, and it needs to be a big one to crack this open. And it does secure the kill onto Hammerfall. But is that going to be enough with so much of his team scattered around him? Maybe we're going to finally see the camp here. Padshak falling low, but DPS Stinky popping in the sound barrier to help keep his team alive. He's going to allow Mini to get the kill onto Leonia. So we are very close here to seeing a cap from Harriers. They're looking in pretty good shape now.
It's definitely looking like... Oh, but Feastdog is actually bringing the hope down, Phil.
Yeah, Feastdog, you just cannot take your eyes off this guy for a second because he will rip you to shreds. But we've just got Hammerfall left on the Wrecking Ball. Harriers, again, looking like they might be in a position to actually cap this point.
Yeah, here we go. They're getting it. They're getting it. I don't think Spartans are going to come back and contest. There's no point. They've got 2 ticks at this point. They're about to get the next one, but they could try and deal in some damage here. But what I find interesting is Spartans actually looking like they're going to be staying on that composition, because oftentimes you actually see a little bit of a switch up of things as we move on to the second point, but actually they're going to persist.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's kind of been working out for them. They take a lot of time off that first time bank, and we've got 2 ultimates to play with. Padshak has been doing a lot of work, you know, maybe not getting kills, but doing so much just to keep Harriers on their toes. Padshak does get a kill onto Neo, immediately res back up by Zach, so we are still in 6v6 territory. We could still see Harriers coming in here, and they have got some key ultimates. They've got the Valkyrie and they've got the attack visor, so that 2 together, but of course you can't use either of those things if you get taken out by Kotanks' barrage, and they're just going to go for the chase down, chasing them right the way back to spawn. And yeah, at least Harriers didn't commit any ults to that fight.
I completely agree, and I think one of the really key things about Spartans actually remaining on this composition is it means that they have a much higher chance of actually being able to get a pick onto Harriers.
That was mean. They were backed by Spawn. Give them a chance.
They have a much better chance of actually getting a pick onto Harriers before they even make it to the point, whereas if they were playing a more tank-heavy, they would have to wait for Harriers to get there first. Oh, Patrick is getting ready. He's getting ready to hack.
Who's he going for? Are we going to see the Mercy? Are we going to see the Mercy? Are we going to see the... No, we're going to see the Farah. But look at that, immediately turned, gets a direct hit onto Padshak, forcing them out. Greenfire still has his ultimate. In fact, we have 4 ultimates online for Harriers. If they can just wait out this Valkyrie, they will be in a big position. But EMP, Padshak farming these so quick. Kotex with the swap onto the Tracer takes out Neo. How they took out Neo, I have no idea. And Greenfire with the self-kill with the rocket there. And look at them push right the way. Just want to secure these final few kills.
I mean, I actually really loved the order in which Patrick actually went for his hack victims there, because he went straight for Neo on the Farah. And so, okay, we can't have the Farah up in the air, so we can't have those sort of opening damage. We've got to wait for her to be unhacked. But then he went straight for Stinky, who was on Lucio. It's like, okay, well, we don't have our AoE healing. We've got to wait. Then the EMP came in, and it's like, well, we just can't go. And it's just a constant rotation of hacking that's preventing Harris moving forward.
Kotex with the solo bomb taking out Zach, and Padshak with a follow-up onto Neo. Harriers have swapped over to single tank, single healer, just running those 4 DPS, and we have seen Broken Cells on the Genji previously. We know he likes this character. 47% of the way to an ultimate already is looking pretty good. They've got 2 minutes 20 seconds to try and build this ult and get something done with it. A little bit of tactical crouching in there from FizzDog. Not what we like to see in our Christian Overwatch games, thank you very much.
We can see these kind of wars of the Tracers here as well. It's like the Tracer's job is to be irritating, is to provide a distraction. But when
it's
we
also
compare,
my job.
I know. When we compare Kotex to Stinky and what they're getting done here, is Kotex is actually like really succeeding. And that dash just didn't work.
That's unfortunate, and we've seen actually the ult charge stall a little bit here for Broken Cells. They got 47% really quickly, 70% almost a minute later. They've got to be quick, and Broken Cells falling really low. They're managing to just get out of the way. Padshak is just such a nuisance for Harriers.
You know the really scary thing about Padshak is he's actually a flexible player.
Oh, good grief.
Oh, Mini, he's getting ready to use a knife, but another EMP!
Yeah, I mean, these EMPs are coming so quick that I don't even have time to get excited about them. But DPS Stinky gets a kill onto his opposite number. Leonia, though, with the attack visor, getting that support from the Valkyrie, takes out 2. Harriers with a minute. Soldier versus Soldier. Only one can win. And it's going to be Leonia. Having that support from the Mercy is so key in winning that matchup. And they're just going to chase again. But Neo gets a parting blow. Hammerfall taking out Zac to equalize it, though. Padshak's in the back line again. Be very quiet. Don't let them know he's here.
He was Padshak, then he was Padhack, now he's Padback. Let's go. But no, it's like Harriers, they keep showing these moments of brilliance where they're actually getting something really good done, but it's like with Spartans, it's more of it's like a constant oppression.
Yeah. And having Padshak constantly being back in the back of the team line to get the hacks, just getting in there, securing the hack, getting out again is making it so difficult. But we have got Broken Cells. Broken Cells has the ultimate online ready to go, but with 2 of the team down already and with no tanks left aligned for Harriers, he's not going to want to commit that just yet. But at 22 seconds left on the clock, we've got to see it come out pretty sharp. FizzDog's going to pop this ultimate any second, going to make it so difficult for them to actually get in and do anything on the back of this. But they've got to get in and touch, and they've got to do it quick.
Well, that's the thing with having FizzDog in this window, is because Harriers don't have a choice. They've got 7 seconds left. They have to come in. They can't do anything about it if he does take down a member.
Okay, but that was a nice initiation there for Mini, managing to flush FizzDog off the high ground, buying some space for his team to get in. We're just going to see Broken Cells surely going to get back up to full health, and then we have to see this. But look at this Padshak at 98%. We've got the Dragon Blade coming out, and he takes down Padshak before the hack comes off. Kotex taking out Mini in the meantime, and Hammerfall just going for this stall spiral around the point, drops the mines. It's going to make it pretty tricky for anyone to get any kills in on the top of that. And we just got the green fire on the Zarya there to contest point, and Broken Cells not able to do anything, and it's another hack! Come on, Padshak! Good grief!
Spartan showing there that even if you manage to break through them and bring them down, it doesn't matter because they can break through you in return. And I have to ask Phil, that kill with the Dragon Blade onto Padshak, was that Padshak's first death? In
I
this
think
map?
it might have been, actually.
Oh my god.
We'll have to scrub back through the footage and check that, but honestly that would not surprise me. It was so good at just getting out of danger at the last second. You know, we saw a couple of instances where Padshak was going in, coming down to, you know, double figure health and just getting right back out again to a hacked health pack.
The scary thing about running very DPS heavy versus very DPS heavy is that in general it's going to favour the team who have the better mechanical skill. And as we've spoken about already in this season, it's just that's most likely going to go to Spartans when we compare the actual skill level, the experience, you know, what the members of these teams have done. They've been on very high level teams before. They have 3 tier 3 members on their team, and so it means that yes, you can try and mirror because you can see that the other team, it's working for them, but are you actually going to be able to hold up to that? And we've got some members on the Harriers who are doing pretty well. Broken Cells obviously is proving himself. Neo has actually shown that he does have good aim. He can get in some really, really good kills on the Widowmaker.
It's got to feel pretty good being able to, when you look at how masterful Dog was in that last round. It's got to feel pretty good as Neo to swap off tank to out snipe.
It's actually looking like he's doing the same thing once again. He did go onto the Winston and then decided actually no, they're going to come back out with this. They're going for a 2-2-2 now, which is a little bit more standard. Although having Mini on the Wrecking Ball instead of having a sort of, in inverted commas, real main tank is pretty interesting because there's going to be no shield available.
Yeah, but Spartans running 3-2-1 here, 3 DPS, including Co-Tanks on the Widowmaker this time, into Harrier's much more mobile setup. But look at this, they've sent people up around the top to be a distraction, to buy Padshak and Cheek22 some time to come in and get some kills with that boosted McCree. And Mini managing to just get out the way. And I feel a little bit bad here because Padshak is just fanning the hammer over and over and over again. Let's see some aim out of this, please, Padshak. Come on. 84% of the way to the ultimate, though, so I mean, if it's working, fine, keep fanning that hammer. And Leonia featuring pretty heavily in the kill feed as Spartan breeze through and knock Harriers off point A.
Well, I have to say, to go back to Padshak actually using that kind of fan the hammer, it's pretty smart because targeting Mini there, yes, using...
Thanks.
The Wrecking Ball does have the abilities and the cooldowns to be able to look after himself for a while, but it actually meant that Padshak drew those out of him and then let the rest of the team go onto him to get rid of Mini.
The High Noon comes out, but I think knocked out of the way there by the Wrecking Ball, the Hammerfall before, of course, Hammerfall falling themselves. DPS Stinky doing some work here. Looks like we may actually see them rebuff this attack from the Spartans and hold point A for the first attack, but 6 minutes, 38 seconds left on the clock. Spartans can take their time here.
Yeah, that was a really nice anti-nade use, actually, that I saw there, and that's part of the big reason that Spartans were sort of forced back is because they were brought down so low because of that. But, you know, only 1 tick to go, Phil. Yeah, they've got 6.5 minutes to do it.
Yeah, but we have got some ultimates online. We've got the Nano Boost, we've nearly got mine, so if they use these in just the right way, they may be able to buy themselves some time here. It's all going to be down to whether or not these are committed in the correct way.
Oh, the Mercy's down.
Yeah, that's a good start. Maybe you don't need to commit ultimates if you can just take out the Mercy with the Power Driver. Broken Cells with the dash reset. But Padshak, with his 4th hero of this map, I think, managing to take out his opposite number on Broken Cells. They're probably not going to want to push in on the back of this. Of course, they've lost too many people. But no, again, another rebuffed attack from Harriers.
Yeah, and it does mean that Padshak now is actually halfway to his Dragon Blade already. And he's nearly getting that dash in the Tracer.
Pulse Bomb comes out, doesn't find anything yet. It's unfortunate. Hammerfall gets the mine kill whilst we're on board with Padshak on the Genji, 82% of the way to the ultimate, and they have trapped the poor Diva in there, managing to just get out of the way, falling very, very low, but it has meant that the Ana is in a lot of danger. Sound Barrier comes out to try and keep Spartans alive. Padshak and Co-Tanks getting the kills they need. We've got the Dragon Boosted Genji, Dragon Boosted, Nano Boosted Dragon Blade on the field. Broken Cells gets one with it, but Dog taking it out. Green Fire, Co-Tanks and Dog with the follow-up means that this is just going to be stall city for Harriers as they try and cycle people onto the point to keep it alive. Mini falling to Hammerfall, and we've got the Moira again, another mobility hero just to come in. This could be big. The DPS Stinky needs to get at least one, does get one, but too many people left on point for Spartans, and they are just able to get people back in. But no, maybe this is coming back the other way. We've got 4 people on the point for Harriers here. They've brought it back. They are so close to losing this point. If they get off the point for too long, they are going to see them fall here. Hammerfall just setting up that spin stall, commits the the mines to the point, gets the sound barrier, and we are going to see this fight go on even longer. Pulse Bomb comes in, gets the baby D.Va from downtown. Kotank's at the back, completely uncontested, even raining just body shots in, able to help secure some of these kills. I have to say, impressed at Harry is continuously bringing this back in. It's a hell of a stall.
This is something that I noticed actually earlier, is that when you think Spartans should be backing out and resetting, actually they have the confidence where they're just kind of going out a little bit and then coming straight back in, and they're drawing out and having these long fights, and they're so close to getting this one tick fill.
Yeah, they really are, but the stall is so good from Harriers here. They're able to just, with the amount of ability they have on the team, bring people in again and again and again, but it's not going to be enough. A very spirited defense from Harriers, but Spartans are going to take Volskaya.
We just saw some really clever playing there. Actually, you know, I mentioned it earlier on Junkertown how they're trying to isolate Stinky and prevent him from being able to actually kind of do anything for his team, because obviously a D.Va has so many abilities and so many resources that they have to provide to the team, and actually having pushing Stinky into that little room, and they've already used the health pack, so he just that's what he was banking on. He went straight over to the health pack, and there actually wasn't one.
Yeah, it feels pretty bad to be body blocked in a room when you're a 6-ton mech.
Exactly, and these are the kind of like small things that they're thinking about. Maybe there's that one bit where Kotank's tried to use his grapple and went straight into a ceiling that wasn't quite so smart.
No, they can't all be winners.
But yeah, I kind of have to reiterate what it was I said earlier, and that is when you're running these DPS versus DPS compositions, is in a lot of cases it's going to come down to the mechanical skill, because in running a very DPS heavy composition, you're relying on the fact that a lot of them are going to be mostly taking care of themselves. Frequently you run the Mercy, which we did see, and the Mercy is going to be damage boosting and healing, but will be going between people. You know, obviously when she has the Valkyrie, she can do the mass healing, but you're relying on the fact that you're mostly being able to take care of yourself. And so if you're not mechanically superior to your counterpart or the person who's kind of aggressing upon you, you're going to come out in the disadvantage in that fight.
Yeah, which is kind of the long and short of Overwatch. You have this idea in your head of Overwatch of, I am the superior Genji, therefore I'm going to win the Genji matchup every time. It doesn't always quite work out like that, because of course whoever gets the most support from the team is going to win that Genji matchup. But I think you're right in that, you know, it is going to be 9 times out of 10 the mechanically skilled player that takes that over the less mechanically skilled player. Yeah,
and the fact that Spartans have shown that they are so good, because it also means that they have the sort of range and the room to be able to do this kind of flexibility that we're seeing. As I mentioned, Patchak, he is a flex support player, and he's come out on a number of DPS heroes.
Yeah, are we sure that was flex support? Because it seems like a flex DPS player at the minute.
I don't know, he's providing the support for the team, I guess.
Yeah, technically we're all support. Those of you in chat currently cheering on your team, congratulations, you are also flex support players.
But no, and that's the thing, is it means that when you actually have the ability, you have the opportunity to be able to flex onto other heroes, it gives you way more opportunity and way more kind of like potential outcomes that you could go through and things that you could run, and you're not sort of just imprisoned by, this is what I play and I have to stick on it. Yeah,
it's nice to have that opportunity to not be in Brig Jail as a DPS player. For those of you unfamiliar with the term, of course, Brig Eater is what the DPS players get to play in the GOATS meta at the minute.
We have seen Patchak on that.
True, we have seen Patchak on that, but he's broken out of Brig Jail and is just playing pretty much whatever he feels like. But here we go, map number 4, of course. Spartans already winning the series. We do play for map differential, however, so we're going to be going over onto Hollywood.
I'm really interested to see if Stinky does stay on the Junkrat, because I actually quite like Junkrats on sort of first point defenses for a number on a number of the maps. Obviously not everything, but it's really good, especially in if the attacking team's going to make specific rotations through quite confined areas, you can really put that spam damage in, and that can be super dangerous. And also it makes him very hard to dive, which is going to be a big risk for Feazdog here, because if you dive a Junkrat, he leaves all his sort of bombs behind and he's going to be dealing you a lot of damage.
Yeah, but I think we've demonstrated Feazdog is a real threat here. So if they can take Feazdog out of the fight early, then that's going to be a much easier task for Harrier. So you've got to watch out for that coming into this next fight. Interesting lineups of both teams, and DPS Stinky is not going to be won't have to take out FeezeDog. FeezeDog falls to Zach. Of course, we were so focused on the DPS players that we didn't notice support players getting kills, but Spartans getting all of the kills in that exchange. Unfortunately, FeezeDog falling nice and early, but they are going to cap that point, I think, early. It's just the poor lone wrecking ball of Mini on the point. It's not really going to be enough, and we're just going to see a nice bit of aggression here coming out from Spartans, trying to secure some late stage kills and stop people coming in to contest the point. In fact, I think they've just left one person on the point to actually cap it. Yeah, why not if you can?
And this is actually a pretty good example of what can happen if you don't run a D.Va. And actually, neither of the teams did run a D.Va there, but Spartans with this sort of superior mechanical skill kind of can overcome that. But the fact that Harriers didn't have someone who can sort of swallow that damage, that's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, it was a nice hook coming in there from the Green Fire, especially with Broken Cells there for the follow-up to take Padchak out of the fight. I think that's what, hero number 7 for Padchak tonight. Does have the Graviton Surge. I expect to see that in the next fight. In fact, expect to see that come out. Big sleep. Zach on point with these sleeps tonight. Greenfire not quite getting anything with that fishing line this time, but FeezeDog taking out Broken Cells means they are up in the fight. Graviton Surge coming out, finds 2, but there's a lot of health in there and not a lot of follow-up, meaning that Graviton Surge doesn't actually secure anything. Kotank's completely separate to that, taking Neo out of the fight. Minefield deployed. Sound Barrier comes out as well at the top, but here we go. We've got FeezeDog bringing out that Samurai Sword, going for the swing, takes out Zach, gets the D-Mech onto DPS Stinky, puts it away, and the Shatter in over the top puts the Green Fire on the floor, and Spartans just completely dominate in that team fight.
Just a very decisive fight there for the Spartans. They did waste the nano boost which Harriers used. They stopped it from having as much efficacy as it could have had. It was pretty much used in that instance to keep Mini alive while he was stuck in the Graviton, although I'm sure Harriers would have loved to also have the 50% damage boost that it brings, and then also the Drag Play was just beautiful.
Yeah, but no ultimates aligned for Spartans, and the Green Fire finds Kotanks. Would have loved to have seen how that happened. But kills for Harriers looking pretty good. Neo on a bit of a tear. Green Fire does have the whole hog, gets nothing from that fight, but can buy so much space here for the team. Maybe Spartans looking like they're going to take the decision to back out of here. Harriers starting to look a little bit stronger and certainly looking very good in terms of ult economy.
They do have quite a lot of ults ready to go, including the self-destruct, which obviously they didn't start off with the D.Va, so they've managed to build that up now, and you could use that combined with the nano boost, or maybe you want to save the nano boost to keep someone alive, or maybe with the Deadeye, but the Deadeye is actually frequently used for kind of zoning, to keep a team back.
I'm going to call it. We're going to get Nano Hog. Nano Hog sometime in the next 10 seconds. That's what we're going to see, and we're going to see it completely roll this team fight. That is your Phil prediction, but a Doomfist Kotank swapping over just to contest Neo on the high ground. I do like that. Was a nice attempt there at the jump shot away with the shot onto Broken. We got Nano Hog. Still 1 for Phil on the prediction side of things. Gets 2, gets 3. DPS Stinky with a clear up onto Padchak. I actually think that's pretty good investment. 2 ults for a nice clean win on that team fight.
I was so ready to call you out and be like, why would you Nano Hog unless you needed to keep him alive? And they did it. He kept him alive through the Graviton Surge, and then he was able to use the hook, bring down that Doomfist.
Yeah, okay. Well, look, if anybody wants any lottery numbers, ask me now before this runs off.
If anyone wants a coach, I'll give you Phil's number.
Thanks. But we've got a couple of swaps. Hammerfall moving onto the Winston. Padchak moving onto D.Va. So they're going pretty much full dive here with the support from the Ana in the back line. Leonia there. FeezeDog has ultimate, and we're going to see the... Oh, look at that! What a pull there! Hasn't managed to completely take him out of the fight, but we get DPS Stinky with the kill onto Leonia, taking all of that healing out of the fight. Mini with the kill onto FeezeDog. Neo, I didn't even see them swap onto the Doomfist, but taking out the opposite number of Kotank. This is a completely new Harriers, looking really, really strong here.
Yeah, I'm really loving this, and one thing that I actually saw there, which I thought was just so great, is the fact that they hooked in FeezeDog. They actually didn't bring him down, but it meant Leonia had to use the nano boost to try and keep him alive, and that added 300 HP actually wasn't enough. They still managed to bring it down, so not only did they not get any damage out of it, but they now don't have it to use in the next fight, which the Harriers do.
Yeah, but speaking of not having it in the next fight, Mini falls early in that, gets stunned and gets taken out by the rest of the piled on damage there. Hammerfall taking out Zach, G22 taking out Broken Cells. We popped it too early. We said, but we've got another. Is that another Nano Hog?
Another Nano Hog.
Not quite so successful this time. No one there to actually point that shotgun at, and we just got Mini looking to start at the point. However, when you look at how quickly that point A was taken, Harriers did a lot of work to really stop Spartans pushing here.
They definitely did. So they've proven that they can actually bring this out. You know, they can. Oh, it's okay. All right, never mind. But they've proven that they can actually hold a really strong defense. And now Spartans, maybe not that they're necessarily being cocky, but they need to actually be aware that this is something that could happen to them.
Yeah, but look at Ultimate Spartans with 4 online, Harriers with just the 1. Yes, we've nearly got DPS Stinky's self-destruct, but we've actually seen DPS Stinky struggle to really get anything out of these self-destruct. Right in the backline, Broken Cells, it's unfortunate, gets slept on the back of it, doesn't get any kills out of that High Noon. Kotank still has theirs, so we could be seeing retaliatory cowboy action coming in shortly. 2 ults online for Harriers. Again, a good Diva Bomb here could make or break this fight. Mini looking like they're in trouble here, managing to just get out of the way, and Kotank's just dodging that fishing hook from Roadhog. Feazdog taking out opposite number. Bob on the field, everybody. Here we go, Diva Bomb right into the bank. Doesn't find anything, but Broken Cells taking out Cheat 22, immediately falling to Bob. Finally doing something for Feazdog here. Another High Noon for Kotank, though.
Hammerfall did just get brought down, being a little bit over-aggressive there, and that's one thing that I don't want to see coming from these two teams. I don't want to see Spartans panicking, but I also don't want to see Harriers being like, well, we have
that hook right at the edge!
Straight, bringing Patchak straight out of his neck there.
Yeah, that's a really, really big play, actually. The Green Fighter has been so impressive on this Roadhog.
Yeah, I was really kind of questioning it at first, because when they first brought it out, they didn't have the Diva. I thought, is this the best choice for the off-tank role? But, you know, now they got Stinky on the Diva, and the Green Fire is getting so much value out of running it. But the self-destruct...
Self-destruct finds 2. That's big. DPS Stinky and Mini quickly equalising. And you know what? We're very close to getting another Nano Hog. It's going to come out any time in this next fight, I'm pretty sure. Third time's the charm. But again, Harriers, you know, despite the fact they lost 2 really early in that fight, were able to equalise so quickly and bring this right the way back.
Yeah, and Spartans have only got half a minute left, so they don't have much of a chance going.
Green Fire is absolutely on fire here. Unfortunately, wasting that... Oh, Patchak. Wait, did we get the panic whole hog? They saw the Brigitte. Brigitte was right on them and then immediately disappeared, wasting the Green Fire's ultimate. So I miscalled it. We're not going to see that Nano Hog. We do have Nano Boost left online, and we've got a High Noon. Maybe we'll see that combo. Big Shatter finds 3. And the follow-up from Hammerfall means that this is going to be pretty dire straits for Harriers, but they have managed to take them down into overtime. They have Broken Cells. If they can buy a bit of space to get this High Noon, and it's a big High Noon, maybe they can flip this. Look at this Green Fire in the back, looking to get a cheeky hook, not able to find anything, unfortunately taken down by Feazdog. Kotanks has one of their own. There's the High Noon. Look at the focus, straight in on the back of them. Nothing out of that self-destruct from DPS Stinky. Oh, look at the range on this. Kotank's right in the back, not able to get anything out of that High Noon. Doesn't need to, though, because the rest of their team really doing the flexing there and taking Harriers out of that point. But still, overtime, pretty good position from Harriers here.
Yeah, it means that, yes, they have that, you know, kind of behind them, and they know, they also have the confidence knowing they held up such a good defense that actually, you know, maybe they can do the same on the offense. And Spartans did take a really big risk at the end. They're stacking their support ultimates to just try and get it the rest of the way, and it did work out for them. But the fact that they had to go to that kind of extent to be able to actually achieve that, that's something that Harriers are going to go into the next round being aware of.
Yeah, and I do wonder if the reason that we saw such a successful hold there from Harriers was that we were starting to see people going, well, you know, we've lost the series already. This is map 4, which is map differential. Let's play our comfort pick. So we see Green Fire on the Roadhog being an absolute playmaker in that round.
Yeah, this is something that actually I really enjoy seeing, is when you stop seeing teams think, what should we be playing, and you start seeing teams think, what do we want to play? Like, what are we going to be successful on? And so far, Harriers have, yeah, they've really showed themselves to be a completely different team to what we saw back in Oasis when they were being kind of held at spawn.
Yeah, and I'm interested just by the sheer variety of characters that the people on Harriers are playing. So Neo, having played tank and Widowmaker, now on the Lucio.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like close your eyes, press H, pick a hero. But actually, I'm really liking Spartan's composition here. They've got the Orisa who can shield the Ashe at the back there. You can keep the Zenyatta back as well because he doesn't have that damage drop off, so he can still be shooting straight into the choke point as well as being able to provide that Discord orb. And meanwhile, you have the Pharah who can stay with the Mercy up in the air and actually shoot the rockets in and also provide intel as well because you're seeing things from a different angle.
Yeah, but we've got kind of an interesting tank lineup, and we have seen it work for Harriers, the Wrecking Ball and Roadhog combination.
Well, as well as the D.Va.
And the D.Va, yeah. I think it's a little tricky to try and get in on top of this bunker because you're quite exposed for a lot of your time here from this approach in this bunker. But Broken Cells, early kill onto Kotanks. If they can camp the body here and stop the res, they're in a very good position, but Feazdog, good grief, getting two, buying space for Cheek22 to get in and get the res. Leonie and Padshak clear up. That was forceful. That was Feazdog putting their foot to the floor and saying, nope, kill, 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 kill.
And this is the thing, it's actually going to be very difficult to go against this Ashe because if you try and make the dive onto the Orisa to get to her, the Orisa can use her Fortify, you've got the damage there, you've also got the Ashe herself who can use her Coach Gun to get away, but if the Harriers do try and ignore Ashe, they're never going to be outside of her range. You know, she does have a damage drop-off, but in this area, it's not going to be there. And there we go, there's the Coach Gun.
The acrobatics from Feazdog there, getting launched into the air by the pile driver, going, no, I would like some additional height. Coach Gun gets a couple of shots off and gets in, and we've got Bob already. Feazdog finds Neo almost casually, and the dive does finally come in from Mini, but it's not going to be enough to secure anything. Dynamite and Bob doing some serious work here. Greenfire in the back. May just have to back off and give this up as a bad job.
Yeah, and it was such a good example of what you have to do to try and make this dive because Harriers also invested the nano boost to actually try and do that, and still Mini was brought down. So they may have to go back and kind of rethink things a little bit, unless Broken Cells can bring out something clutch.
Yeah, but Broken Cells is in a difficult position. There's nobody to hide behind here. You can't get much value out of your high noon because you are so vulnerable when it happens.
Yeah, you don't want to just be feeding, especially when you don't have any ult charge to gain because you already have the Deadeye ready to go.
But I didn't notice we've got Neo has swapped off the Lucio. So what I would have liked to have seen here was Harriers using that speed boost to get round behind, using the room just to the right of security, but they're not going to have that option now. So they're running solo support. It's actually going to be very difficult to get anything done when you look at the amount of damage that can come out from Spartans.
Solo support as an Ana is going to be really difficult, and they've got to make sure that they're going to peel for her really well because, yeah, she can use the...
Here's the barrage! It's a sneaky barrage around the back. They don't survive it, but taking out 3 from an over-the-top surprise barrage is a pretty good play in my book.
And this is just going to mean that we brought it down to less than a minute and a half that Harriers have to go to be able to take this point. It's just a testament to how superior this composition is once again.
Oh, I do like that. The nice positioning on the mines has happened to force the bunker out of the way. We've got a couple of ults. Broken Cells and Greenfire have theirs ready to go. This could be just the only thing they needed. Greenfire very close. Look at that. Taking a breather, surviving and getting the hook. The revenge coming in. Unfortunately, too much focus fire. Taking the Greenfire out of the fight, and that is going to be everybody else falling like so many meaty dominoes.
It was actually very smart from Spartans there. Yeah, they got forced out of their position, and that kind of was the win condition that Harriers were going for. So what they did is they obviously used their own self-destruct, put it into that corner where basically the entire open area was going to be at risk, and it meant that Harriers actually couldn't aggress upon the team before they were able to get back in the position.
But we've got this fight cracked open slightly here. Neo getting the kill onto Feazdog. Unfortunately, res back up, but DPS Stinky taking out Leona is also a pretty big play here. We've got a couple of ultimates online, ready to go. We've had the nano boost committed into the fight. We've got the whole hog here. Nice hook! Finds the Pharah, takes her out of the fight. This is looking a lot more positive if you're the Harriers here.
Cheek looking like, yeah, no. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for him to get his very own hook. And yeah, you're right. It's looking like with literally a couple of seconds to go, they're going to be into overtime. Harriers might be able to take this. But it also means now that the Spartans, they're going to have the time. I was going to say, expect to see a Widowmaker.
Yeah.
They're going to have the time to prepare for this next area of the point. So with these 2.5 minutes here ready to go, we're going to have some Widow.
And with the mobility tanks for Spartans, it's going to be really hard for Harriers in the current lineup to get an awful lot done. Greenfire does pop the ultimate, does find the kill onto Hammerfall, but so much of that being eaten by the defense matrix. manages to get out of the way of the self-destruct and stay alive, but unfortunately that does mean that the whole hog committed for only one kill, and the Cheek 22 gets in the cheeky res onto him. Yeah, apt. And Kotex with another barrage. Doesn't find much, does take out Neo. Neo is swapping so often here, I can hardly keep track. That's going to be the green fire focus, but managing to get out of the way of Kotex. But Kotex has been alive for so long here. It does seem like they're not really focusing them, and they're able to just getting all this free splash damage.
Well, unless the green fire manages to hook him out of the sky, they no longer actually have a hit scan who can sort of deal with that. Maybe Broken Cells can use his deflect and try and get a rocket back up to the Pharah, but it's going to be a lot more difficult without that.
Yeah, but Spartans are proving a tough nut to crack. Harriers do have nutcrackers though. They've got the mines, they've got the Genji, they've got the nano boost, they've got the self-destruct. Any one or two of these could completely crack this fight open.
Over to the McCree now as well. They're sick of Kotengsville.
But here's the Diva Bomb. Diva Bomb, self-destruct, not getting anything. Does buy a bit of space for Broken Cells to get two. Taking out the pharmacy is a big play here. But a Diva Bomb coming in right next to the point. Oh, he does manage to duck behind the explosion and take out Patchak before they can remech.
Yeah, taking out Patchak before the remake was really good there because that does guarantee that one fewer person on Spartans. Feastdog not even using the sniper here, just going straight for the regular rifle.
Yeah, chased right the way out. We have had to see a lot of ults invested into that fight. We can still see mines. We've got the whole hog on the field, and we've seen just how impactful this whole hog can be. Broken Cells out of position, taken out by Feastdog, is not a good look if you're the Harriers here with only 25 seconds left on the clock.
They haven't got very long to say.
Solo ult! Oh, no, it's not a solo ult. If you turn and take out the green fire, also another huge barrage from Kotanks and a follow-up from Feastdog means that we have 13 seconds left on the clock for Harriers. They need to come up big here.
And the way that green fire was positioned before looked like he was waiting to try and get in a sneaky little hook. And he's just not going to be able to do it now. Harry's just got to continue.
Mini fell very low, popped the adaptive shield, but it wasn't enough because they were kept off the point before they could actually use that minefield. And we're in overtime, and it's not looking good for the Harriers here again. We've got the whole hog coming into the fight. Has managed to buy a bit of space for the team because it's keeping Hammerfall on the Raging Winston out of the fight, but there's just too much going on here. The green fire has gotten out of the way. Mines committed into the point. They have bought a bit of space. Cheek 22 out of the fight is big, and so much space being bought by Mini here to help keep... Oh, but look at that. The Boop takes him out into the line of fire of the self-destruct, and Spartans take Hollywood.
The Spartans were just quite well equipped at the end there to be able to deal with what was happening, especially bringing out that Transcendence in response to the whole hog, which so far Greenfire has been finding a lot of value out of, and it means that they've been able to kind of move on forward and take, you know, whatever the fight that's going on is. And so having that Transcendence really put a spanner in the works there, and it means the Spartans, they've been able to take, what, all 4 maps?
All 4 maps, so continuing their streak of having only lost 1 map in the entirety of this. However, you know, Harriers in that last map actually looking pretty competitive.
Yeah, we saw a lot of improvement come out from them along the kind of length of the series, but at this point in the competition, it's just not enough. We're in week 3. You've got to be kind of coming out from spawn.
Yeah, absolutely. But we are now ready for a break. We're going to be coming back with Saint versus Invincibles after the short break. Bear with us.
I was a big traditional sports player when I was younger. I have an injury, which means I can't do this anymore, and it sort of fulfills that team aspect for me. I really enjoy gaming from a young age anyway. My name's James Cowling. I play for Business Strugglers, and my favourite game is League of Legends.
I've always played competitive games. I started at Call of Duty, and went through to play CSGO. And when I started playing League, I just wanted to get better and needed to test myself. My name is Jermaine. My tribe is Bristol Smugglers. My favourite game at the moment is League of Legends. For the most part, currently I'm just coaching, but when I do play and sub in, I play jungle.
As a sort of big team sports player, I really enjoy being part of the competition of the clash. I'm really looking forward to representing Bristol Smugglers and helping the team out get some victories as well.
I've been going, I think, for 4 seasons in a row now, and I've enjoyed it every time, whether seasons I didn't directly play, I was just there just to enjoy the atmosphere and just watch them track, and it's really cool. It's quite nice to kind of grow friendships between the different tribes and even rivalries.
You come down, you'll meet some like really nice people who are easy to talk to, similar sort of interests, which you don't always get to meet up to in sort of school and your standard activities. So just come down and enjoy yourself. It's the most important thing.
energy, still everybody's mad at me. Can't react to my body, 'cause it's begging me to cheat. Begging me to cheat. You will see just how perfect keep me alive. All I see is the dark, but when you come out, I see the stars. There are so many stars, but when you shine, you burn my heart and set me up in flames. 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 Set me up in Your light shines through the darkness, Your light shines through the darkness, Your light shines through the darkness of my heart. I can't look away. You're burning through my veins. So I can't look away. You're burning through my veins. You're so
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that previous match of Spartans versus Harriers. We're going to be coming right at you with Saints versus Invincible. If you're only just tuning in, I'm the man with the biggest face in esports, Big Hungry Phil, and next to me,
I'm Gio.
who has a much more normal size face. I'm sure we can all agree. That's not a good. It's not a good metric, but it's a close enough approximation.
I'll take it.
Yeah. So interesting match. In fact, coming in from Saints versus Invincibles. Saints are our defending champions. They won last season of the Arena Clash Overwatch session.
I mean, yeah, they're pretty good. They beat Spartans out in the finals last season. They managed to take that trophy at the end there. I don't actually know if there's a physical trophy. Do we know?
We'll find out for you. There are physical trophies.
Hear from the producer. Yeah. We know.
Oh, that's the producer. I assumed it was God. Well, that's my worldview flipped entirely upside down. But yeah, Saints are absolutely the team to beat in this season of Arena Clash. And to be fair, Invincibles looking pretty strong as well, so we could be in for an absolute belter of a match.
Yeah, I want to say Invincibles have their work cut out for them, but this is the sort of team, if anyone is going to actually take Saints to the next level and really push them, this is going to be the team. We actually saw them play in Week 1. We casted them, Phil.
We did. All those weeks ago.
There's many moons ago.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I just remember some amazing Genji play.
Yeah, Evade in particular, really, really strong. Certainly a player to watch out for in this map coming up.
Yeah, and also the Redstones really impressed me as a Reinhardt. He just always knew where every member of his team was. He knew exactly what he was going to do, and I don't know, I just remember a specific play where he managed to bait in Enigmas, who they were playing against. He baited them in by sort of leaving his Zarya sort of out to dry, and then used that to bring in a fantastic attack. And these are the sorts of kind of strategies and clever plays that I really like to see, and I think could potentially cause Saints a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, it would be good to see this go to... Let's see if we can see this go all the way to map 5. That'd be really nice to get that far in a map pool. But yeah, nothing really left to say except
it's gonna be really like I'm very, very looking forward to actually getting into this. One thing that we do have to bear in mind here is that Saints, they're mostly the same roster, albeit one person, that is Harjo, who is their main support, and so he's going to be coming in and providing some fresh new face to the team.
Yeah, and interestingly, just as a quick side note here, we talked about in our previous match Spartans having a bunch of OD players, Open Division players on their team. We do have 2 top 64 OD players for Saints, so you've got to be looking out for Harju and Curio in that role. Coming in, though, we've got a dive composition from Saints, which is something you don't see a lot of anymore, but not going to work out particularly well. We got a nice early boot. Django fall into the boot from Chelsea. 3 Redstones taking out Harjo, and there's just going to be clean up before they go and decide to actually try and take the point. Nyx does find Aethon towards the end there, but it's just not going to be enough. We're going to see Invincibles secure the point in fairly short order.
It actually looks like it's been a pretty decisive take there by Invincibles, which was pretty impressive considering the fact that their Ana Hikari got hacked like right at the start, and if your support gets hacked, that's something you need to be really wary about. But nonetheless, Invincibles managed to kind of pick Saints apart and actually separate them off from one another and be able to build upon that to push them back.
There you go, gets the hack off onto Atcha, and that's a really, really good choice of target. Aethon, though, managing to take out Nyx, and nothing coming out of that hack means that Invincibles are again looking really good in this fight, especially when you get the D-Mech onto Chimpy, and Threadstone's just able to sit in and hold that shield up, but does get slept, immediately brought back into the fray. But Atcha 6 taking out Chimpy and evading with the Dragon Blade. We mentioned his Genji play, but Magic Marv with the boot kill onto Evade. It's still not going to be enough. It's been a really long, drawn-out team fight, but Invincibles have had the upper hand at every point.
Well, something that I found kind of questionable in that fight from Saints was Nyx sort of going in on his own, and especially when you got Curio on the Ana, he's not going to be able to get his primary fire through the Rhine shield to be able to provide any healing. And if you don't go in with a Zarya bubble, and they don't even have a Zarya to provide that, you're pretty much going to be taken down very, very quickly. But look, Harjo is going to come out with the EMP.
Here's the big EMP. We're surely going to see a Dragon Blade coming in on the top of that, but no, because we actually got the sound barrier in as the hack came off. No kills coming out of that. Aethon falls to Django, so they are one-up in this fight currently for Saints, but we have had Nyx commit the Dragon Blade, securing the melee kill onto Evade, following up, taking out Hikari, and Saints, on the back of comparatively few ultimates, looking like they may actually flip this point over.
And that's what you want to be looking for, is being able to capitalize and utilize just as few ultimates as possible, because it means you have so many ready for the next fight, and you can actually begin to snowball, which oftentimes is what will win you a map.
Yeah, completely. But 92% captured before the point flipped over. We've got 3 ultimates online from Invincibles, including a Graviton Surge. Mr. Magic Marv, I will get his name right eventually, is in a position to mitigate some of that potential from Atcha's Grav. But it's all going to be down to really millimeter plays as to who wins this.
It's going to be close, but Invincibles are good. Coming out.
There's the Graviton coming out, does manage to catch Chimpy. Chimpy pinged right out of the way by that charge, manages to get out with almost all of their health still intact, still has the deep bomb, not needing to commit that to this fight. Saints managing to hold that with very little invested again.
And Nyx there, he brought down so many members of Invincibles that even after they used that anti-nade onto actually quite a lot of members of Saints there, they were unable to follow up on that and couldn't bring down the team. So it means Saints actually getting closer to this 50% mark now. It's looking like Hodjo with another EMP.
Big EMP right in the back, and here comes the D.Va Bomb, takes out 3. Beautiful play, 2 ultimates and a 1 team fight. Are we going to hear that bell? Was that enough?
There we go,
we did just hear the team kill bell. Wow, yeah, really clever play there.
Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful, and it's just so clean and so, surgical that Saints are going forward with this ultimate usage. And when they kind of start to stop doing the sort of feeding that we saw Nyx doing...
Oh, but look at this Evade with a quick 2 from the nano-boosted Dragon Blade, gets 3. D-Mech coming in, 3 redstones with the Fire Strike. So on the back of 2 ultimates, we've got the Rage Monkey coming in just to try and stall this point out a little bit further. But Evade finds Nyx, did almost take out Hardjo as well. Comes around the back, Hardjo taken out by Evade. We mentioned him at the start, absolutely a player to look for. Just Django left on point, does secure a kill. Is that going to be enough to stall this out to bring the rest of the team back in? Django taken out, pinned right into the wall. Evade takes Django, and we are still 95 to 99. They have managed to flip the point. They've just got to get in and get these few remaining people off the point. There's a nano-boosted D.Va in your face, has secured the kill, but Evade with 2. Chelsea with the D-Mech, Aethon and Hikari follow up, and we're going to see Invincibles holding on to this point. Hardjo coming back in on the Soldier to recontest, but it is not going to be enough, and City Centre secured by Invincibles.
Invincibles giving the reigning champions a real run for their money there, and actually something that I thought was kind of cool about that last fight there is the second Evade popped his Dragon Blade, Nyx did the same thing. So we actually had this ulting Genji versus ulting Genji, and it was sort of like, who's going to get the most value out of it? And ultimately, that turned out to be Invincibles. And I found it a little bit strange that Django did use the Primal Rage, but actually he did manage to stall out sort of long enough for the rest of his team to come back. It was also interesting seeing Hardjo change over to the Soldier there, which actually looks like he's going to be staying on for this next point here, although we're bringing out some Reinhardts into the fray now.
Yeah, it's a very interesting lineup from, the Invincibles running the Sombra in place of the D.Va in the 3-3 line was pretty common. And in fact, as we've been talking about it, Saints have swapped over onto the Zenyatta variant of Goats. Invincibles possibly with the upper hand here, unless Saints are very good at shutting down Aethon. This could be very one-sided.
Yeah, I heard an attempt at a hack there. Doesn't look like anything actually managed to be... Oh, no!
The Redstone's taken out of the fight. That is almost as bad as having a Reinhardt killed in the fight, because he's not there to soak up any of that damage. And Saints moving forward as a big rolling ball of chaos, taking down almost everybody else. And look, the Redstone's getting right out of dodge, getting back into spawn to regroup with the team. Saints looking for an early cap there. And Aethon taken out of the fight right at the last second.
Yeah, you say that it's almost as bad as your Reinhardt dying, but it's almost arguably worse, because not only is he not in the fight, but it means he has to find a way out and potentially get staggered, so Invincibles have to wait even longer before they can make their next engage.
Yeah, and unfortunately we did lose Hikari very early on in that fight, so Invincibles not really in a position to push forward just yet until they've got the full complement of players, but they've got a really aggressive positioning here. They have to be careful though, because of course Aethon can come around the back and start to recontest the point. It's going to force them to turn around and deal with the problem. But the Redstones has taken down. Django gets a big Earth Shatter, secures 2. Hikari getting in there, Kirio getting in there to help keep some of his team alive, but it's not going to be enough because Evade has all of the charge in the world and is going on a complete tear. The Redstone swinging with that hammer, and Invincibles knock Saints off the point to cap at 45% for Saints.
And I was actually going to say there that what Invincibles really needed was to bring down Django, because the thing that was going to prevent them from moving forward was the fact that Django was so close to building up his Earth Shatter, and in an aggressive engage, it would have made it so much easier for him to build it up. So the Redstones got rid of him, build up his own Earth Shatter, use that, they capitalized on it.
There's that big hack, and the Graviton in over the top, and the Fire Strike gets 3. That is the advantage of having that Sombra on your team. You completely shut down Saints, even though they had all of these ultimates to play with.
Yeah, and it means they didn't even get a touch on their point. They haven't been able to get very far, and as you say, that's the beautiful thing about running a Sombra is, as a team starts to head back towards towards the point and they're coming through these sort of narrow entranceways, these sort of choke points, it's so easy to put an EMP on them and stop them from even achieving their goal before they've even got to the point.
Saints coming in though with the rally activated. Maybe not quite enough. The Earth Shatter coming in, nothing coming out of either of these committed Earth Shatters though. Invincibles keep falling down this hole and getting themselves out of the fight, but Chlassi taking out Curio, the Redstone's taken down next. Is going to see Invincibles hold this once again, I'm quite certain of it.
Yeah, and Acha used just a perfectly timed sound barrier there to prevent his team from going down in the Graviton Surge that was brought out by Hardrote now, but they've overtaken Saints in their own percentage, and this means that Saints are going to have to start thinking about what sort of ultimates they're going to commit to actually be able to break through this wall and actually give themselves a chance at taking the point back.
Yeah, and really, Saints only have the sound barrier online. They're not far off getting Curio's Transcendence. Invincibles not in quite such a good position. Evade does nearly have this ultimate, and it could be huge if deployed correctly. There it goes, Graviton Surge right into the mix. Nothing coming out of it, though. Hack has come off onto Hardrote. Hardrote building up this grab very, very quickly. And Earth Shatter gets the kill. The Earth Shatter kill onto Mr. No, I'll get it right eventually. Magic Marv. Graviton Surge coming in, but of course we've got the Transcendence there to help keep people alive. We're 3 up in the fight. Earth Shatter for Django coming in, but there's just nobody there to follow up on it.
Well, one of the just fantastic plays that Invincibles did there is they ensured that Graviton Surge was just off the point, and that also meant that by the time that the Saints came out of the Graviton Surge, Django's shield was actually so low that he still had to step back. They had to use Curio's Transcendence to even keep them alive, and they couldn't go in following that Reinhardt, and it really put Invincibles at the advantage in that fight, and of course allowed them to take this point.
Yeah, I think particularly we want to talk about the power of the Sombra, and as I say it, there we go, Hardrote on that Sombra, absolutely huge enabling play here, coming in around the back with the EMP, gets almost all of the team into it, Diva Bomb in, over the top, securing his 3k. I mean, really, if you're Chimpy in that position, you've got to feel a little bit robbed, because it was Chimpy doing the damage there.
Yeah, that's always the worst part about it, isn't it? And the other thing I have to kind of question is, like, why bring Hardrote off, you know? I can take off my clever person glasses now. Why bring Hardrote off? Because part of the reason that that Invincibles did really well is they actually ended up running their own Sombra when we went into the second point there, whereas Hardrote went on to the Zarya, and the Graviton Surges just weren't getting quite as much value as the EMPs were from the previous point.
It does make me wonder if what we were seeing there was Saints deciding, oh well, we've played the Sombra card, they've got to be expecting that, so they're going to be Sombra checking the whole time, they're going to be spraying those Diva pellets, they're going to be turning that hammer around to try and find her. You're not going to get any value out of it, but as it happens, actually keeping that Sombra in might have been the play there. Yeah,
it's definitely a very big thing to have on your team, for lack of a better term, because of course, yes, you're always going to be paranoid about the Sombra being there as well and kind of looking out for her, and that can take a lot of the attention away from a team. So it'll be interesting to see what Invincibles end up running on this defense to try and prevent Saints from actually going forward, and if Saints end up do go
so what can we expect to see on this map? We're just gonna reboot you, everybody. She's stuck on a word.
It's because I took off the smart person glasses, Phil.
Problems, yeah, of course.
Actually, I'm really actually liking what Invincible's looking like they're going to be bringing out here, because you have the McCree, who can provide that sort of long range. He has the hit scan abilities. You can give him the bubble, the projected barrier that will absorb damage. It will help build up Zarya's charge, but also Hanzo, just in case Saints decide to come out on the pirate ship, on a pirate ship sort of composition,
Speaking of which
is kind of looking like what they're going to do. You also have that Sonic arrow as well, where if you want to see what people are doing in these little rooms here, it's so useful. Yeah, and there are so many places to hide in this map. Of course, getting in behind the Bastion set up on the payload is going to be absolutely key to knocking in this composition off the payload and getting some progress. But Invincibles looking for this high ground rotation, getting a bit of an angle onto the Bastion, looking to just get in, not quite connecting with the dive, and of course presenting the hitbox to the Bastion means that you are going to fall right out of that. The Redstones and Atcha
falling to Bastion here, 50% of the way to the ultimate, and Invincibles looking like they're in a bad position to actually get a recontest.
I actually liked what they were trying to go for there, because you've got to commit. If you're going to dive on a Bastion, you have to, but it just didn't work out. They got stalled and they were able to kind of get picked off, and it was just that the reaction time of Hardro sort of brought them down very, very quickly. But Invincibles actually, you know, they've got it.
Oh, it actually connected. It wasn't enough to secure the kill. But I do like that we had the displacement coming in, I think, from the halt from Django to pull Redstones out of that line of fire. Still connected, sadly, not enough. And, you know, Icastica evade on an absolute terror of a turn, completely dislodging the team almost on their own there.
But also a really big thing about that was the fact that because the Redstones kind of went in, it distracted Saints, and, you know, you turn around, the Redstones, you know, came up in the kill feed, he died, you turn around, and actually the rest of Invincibles are sort of piling onto the point here. So we're having a bit of a change-up from Saints here, going for just the classic kind of GOATS 3-3 composition, because once you've dislodged a pirate ship composition, it's actually incredibly difficult to get back onto that position.
Yeah, especially in the position that Invincibles are currently holding. You've got so much open ground to cover, and Bastion is such a big target. It's kind of hard to get in and do anything on the back of that.
Just like Mr. Hitbox.
Yeah.
But you also have now Saints have so many fewer alternates.
Yeah, but I mean, that Dragon Blade was committed to the fight, and it was committed slightly further forward than was really necessary, so it missed the majority of the Saints as they came in. Saints with a huge point presence here, rolling in and starting to displace Invincibles, and Evade going down is big when you consider what a playmaker he was in that previous round. We got the nano boosted Diva in 85%, 89% of the way to the ultimate. This nano boost really helping to build the self-destruct, but it wasn't quite quick enough. They get demacked and thrown off the point, with Saints capping point A. 4 minutes 5 left on the clock for them to take the streets phase.
Yeah, really going against a team who has that Transcendence on them, which is providing that 300 heals per second to the team. It doesn't really matter if you're nano boosted, it's still going to cause a really big problem, because while it might protect you a bit, you have that 300 HP buff, you have the damage reduction, but you're not going to be able to deal as much damage as you would like to. That's really going to make you win a team fight.
Yeah, just looking at that, that's the second time we've seen Curio fall to a cheeky arrow from Evade, clearly not giving them the respect they deserve. One of those ults, Earthshatter coming in, getting 3. Diva Bomb in for the top, secures a kill onto Nex and Chimpy, and Chelsea just able to stand in the back and rain in damage on the top of these Discord orbs. And with only 2 people left alive, we've got the Shatter coming in on a bunch of low health targets. Django, with a hero play of an Earthshatter there, does secure a bunch of kills for his team, and with Chlassi falling down, that is Saints looking good to roll this all the way to point B cap.
Oh, Chlassi is going to be absolutely gutted with that, because as a Zenyatta, what you really want to be trying to do is stay out of the kind of range of these really big ultimates, you know, things like an EMP, things like an Earthshatter, where you can just be ready to press Q, bring out that Transcendence and save, well, not necessarily save, but at least attempt to protect your team throughout the oncoming damage. But Chlassi was only just caught in that, had the Transcendence ready, but of course there's nothing you can do, and by the time that they got up, half the team was already down.
Yeah, but Aethon with a swap over onto the Sombra, we've seen this be incredibly impactful, but Saints have so many ults to play with here, including 2 big defensive ultimates, so this is really going to be difficult for Invincibles unless they can quickly generate some corresponding ults for them to actually break this offensive push, especially if we start entering snowball territory. Graviton Surge comes out, caps the Redstone, Nyx with a follow-up there, Self-Destruct committed to the fight, does take out Hikari, and some Lucio and Lucio Valence Smoke. Magic Marv taking Atcha 6 out of the fight with the boop. Aethon managing to almost get out of the way, just trying to build a little bit of ult charge at the end there, maybe going face to face and toe to toe with a Reinhardt.
That was actually an incredibly free win from Saints, if we're being totally honest, because Invincibles weren't running the Diva, which actually we see Aethon just switching on to now. It meant that Hardroid actually didn't have to worry about it, where he was going to place the Graviton Surge, and they were just able to kind of roll straight through.
Yeah, Magic Marv and Curio do have their defensive ultimates for the Saints, so Invincibles have to throw a lot at this if they want to get the fight. They have committed both of those ultimates almost on top of each other, and Evade has managed to get almost all of them in the fight with the follow-up. Evade, 3 stones, Hikari take them out of the fight on the back of that Graviton Surge, and Invincibles come storming back into a defensive hold.
I am willing to bet that was probably a bit of a miscommunication there from Saints, because when you have these top 500 players, these open division players on your team, these aren't really the sorts of mistakes that you would frequently expect to be making. So the fact that they did that double stack of the support ultimates they're gonna be really disappointed because that stopped the snowball now, it stopped the momentum, and it allowed Invincibles to completely roll over them in that last fight.
They're worth looking at. Curio already at 46% of the next Transcendence. Schlassie's committed the rally to the fight, and another Earthshatter gets in and gets 4. Evade on the high charge takes Django out of the fight. That's going to be right back to spawn, but no, we've had a Graviton Surge and a Sound Barrier into the fight. Every ultimate in the game getting thrown into this. Chimpy secures the DMech onto Aethon, and it looks like Invincibles are going to hold one more time here.
But now all Invincibles have left for themselves is the Transcendence, whereas the Saints have those 2 really vital tank ultimates that they've been able to get so much out of so far, and we hear one now!
Earthshatter, here comes the Diva Barney in over the top, does find Atcha 6, forces out the Transcendence here, carry pops Transcendence to keep themselves alive, just going for a bit of stall time on the payload. But it does mean that Saints are looking pretty good. Diva Bomb in, but it's just right into that Rhine Shield, getting nothing out of it. So Saints on a bit of a push here. 2 support ults left to go. Nothing online for Invincibles except 5% off that Graviton Surge, but it needs to be the biggest of Graviton Surges.
And you said it there, Phil. It's like it really was a stalling tactic. It means that Transcendence isn't going to be available for the next fight, but it did give some time for the rest of Invincibles to make it out of spawn.
Yeah, Django has ultimate as well. Transcendence coming online into the Graviton Surge. Nothing coming out of the Graviton Surge. Earthshatter comes down, finds 3. Not getting any kills out of it. Chimpy taking out Redstones is big. It may be the turning point of this fight, losing the main tank, but the respawn is going to be really, really quick here, and Evade takes out Chimpy's mech. Curio takes out Aethon's mech. No Diva mechs for anybody left on the point. No ultimates left in play either, but Saints looking like they might have the upper hand here. We've just got the Lucio stalling on the point, and he does manage to get the Sound Barrier off, keeping his team alive, bringing the Redstones in with that Sound Barrier into the fight, but of course, he's got the Discord up. That means he's just not going to have the sustainability there.
At the end there, just Invincibles looking like they were trying to come out and touch the point, and when you're put in that position, it's going to make it really difficult for you because you can't work in that kind of teamwork way that you need to be able to have the upper hand in these fights. And Django's just not afraid to go in with the cleave damage and just get it all from his hammer.
Yeah, he's been completely unchained.
Absolutely, I totally agree. But I've never seen that.
No, me either. But I know it's a film. I know it's a thing. I can make pop culture references.
But, you know, with 37 seconds left to go, Invincibles, their aim here is now just going to be, okay, we just need to get a better time bank. And they've shown that in these fights, they can actually break through and have a good momentum. Of course, they've already taken the first map off of Saints. You know, they should be feeling pretty good about it. And hopefully, as long as they don't allow themselves to get kind of separated in things, and if they can, you know, do anything to try and, you know, bait out both of the support ultimates once again from Saints, then maybe they'll have a really good chance.
Yeah, and I think that at no point in either of the maps we've seen so far tonight from these teams has it looked one-sided. Like, it's been very, very competitive the whole way through, so it honestly would not surprise me to see this go to a round 2, and it's going to be down then to just how quickly this can be capped in terms of time left to the end, because 37 seconds, yes, you're out of overtime, but it's not a huge time bank to try and complete a map in. So if Invincibles come out of this with a better time bank and it goes to round 2, then they're in a very good position. So let's not count our chickens before they've hatched.
Yeah, when you're in such a high level and closely matched game, those are the things that you need to be really concerned about. But like, Saints are going to be very aggressive here.
Yeah,
they've
got to anticipate exactly. They knew this was coming out, so they're just going to get in nice and early, try and get the swings onto the Bastion, but it's not going to be enough. The Discord Orb straight onto the Reinhardt takes them out of the fight, and Invincibles looking like they've got the upper hand here. We have lost a carry, but of course the spawn is just behind them. It doesn't matter. They're going to be back in a matter of seconds, and the chase coming in onto the Discorded Brigitte means that Invincibles have decisively won this fight. Goodbye, Harjo. Down to your own right click.
Well, Saints actually did manage to bring down Aethon, and it looked like it was going to be actually relatively successful, but yeah, of course, other members of the team were able to be brought down, and then the res came out on Aethon, which means they can actually continue on with the pirate ship. Saints changing things up now, though.
Yeah, it is, and it's worth considering that by this point in the map, the Bastion, I'm afraid I didn't catch who it was, the Bastion for Saints had only charged 50% of their ultimate, so Aethon, Harjo, yep, more than likely, Harjo being a very flexible player here, so yeah, a much better performance on the Bastion so far, just in terms of ult charge, 97%, and they go down to the Lucio. That's an unusual kill, you don't often see that in the feed, but Chimpy equalising. We've got Evade again on a tear on the Genji. It's looking like they may be in a little bit of trouble there against the Baby D.Va. Does secure the kill. Nyx in the back line, taken out again by Evade with the mid-air melee kill. You have got to watch out for this guy.
And Ethan actually has his tank configuration ready to go, which could be a really good opportunity because you could be starting to get to a point in the map where you may be thinking about changing up a composition and using that, giving up your position, actually maybe getting some direct kills from that, and then going back and changing afterwards could be a really good opportunity for Ethan here.
Yeah, but I think this is nice target focus from Harjo, getting the hack onto Evade. They've spotted just how much work Evade is doing and knows that they are a key target to be hacked and taken out of the fight. Here comes the D.Va Bomb right into the back line, secures a kill onto the Redstone, losing the main tank, and also the follow-up Fire Strike taking out Aethon. This is not looking good for Saints here. Invincibles... Sorry, this is looking good for Saints. Invincibles here with 2 down, but we've got ultimates in spades for Invincibles in this fight.
Yeah, but Invincibles do have over 4 minutes left to go. They've managed to get as far as they have in a very, very short amount of time, which means that they can actually be a little bit more relaxed about the fact that this is actually really the first time they've been forced off. And Ethan now, he's going onto his own Sombra, but Harjo does have the EMP ready.
Yeah, they just need a couple of economical pushes here. Maybe try and bait out a couple of ultimates, build some of their own, and try and go again. But they've got to be careful because this could be a big ult generator for somebody like Nyx and Chimpy. EMP comes in, finds 2, and there are the kills right on the back of that. Django featuring pretty heavily in that kill feed. Means that Saints are going to finally manage a defensive hold, and we've got it. There's the team kill klaxon.
Yeah, and combined with that Shadow there, that's really what kind of secured it for them. It meant, you know, even if you are hacked, you could still run about, but not if you're caught in an Earth Shatter. But now it's Invincible's time to start trying to build up these ultimates, but they don't want to feed over too much in this sort of narrow area. That's why we're seeing this rotation down here as they move towards the car. Yeah,
forcing Saints off the high ground. Just need Evade to kind of get in into the fight, build a bit of charge, but they were right behind Django. Django holding up the shield in the wrong direction, falling pretty early on in the fight. Nyx taking out Evade, though, equalizing. Aethon taking out Nyx in revenge. This is still very, very open, and given how quick the respawns are going to be for Invincibles, it's looking like this might be the push that Invincibles needed. That hack coming in onto McMagic Marv takes him right out of the fight, and Invincibles take possession and take some space on the payload, ready to roll it right the way through to point B.
Yeah, but if you want to know anything about how this Sombra game is going, we actually saw Harjo overlap Ethan in his ultimate charge. And so
just about to do it again, 86 to 89.
Yeah, so this is really becoming the war of the Sombras. But, Harjo actually getting hacked himself there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Just as we were talking about him, he does manage to lose that matchup. So we're going to see Aethon generate their own EMP. Whoa, hack coming in over the top of a Transcendence and 2 sound barriers. Invincibles getting the better of that exchange. Look at the number of people contributing to that kill onto Django. Almost the entire team in the kill feed just on that one. And unfortunate dying with the ultimate online for Chimpy. Lots of time in the bank for Invincibles in point C.
Yeah, they've got plenty of time with 3.5 minutes. We'll be moving forward now. And now Saints got to come back around, set up another defense, and it's going to be them running into Invincible's hand. But we've said it before, but Harjo with the EMP ready. Invincibles need to be making sure that they're actually staying relatively separate, or at the very least have Hikari out the way so that he can bring in that Transcendence when needed rather than getting caught in.
Oh, speaking of, here's the EMP. Does get forward. D.Va Bomb over the top, secures a kill onto Redstones, and Curio taking out some aggression on Aethon. Saints looking pretty good on this one.
Yeah, now they've taken back sort of control over the payload now, and this is actually going to be a little bit difficult for Invincibles to make it back, because in order to get back through here, you know, that main door has closed now. They've got to come through these very, very narrow entrance ways, and this can be a very easy sort of target area and a very easy place for the team to get bullied.
Yeah, but in terms of ultimates online, we've only got, okay, we've got Django's Earth Shatter and we've got the Rally. Is that going to be enough for a defensive hold? Well, frankly, only if those ultimates are very good. And speaking of very good ultimates, the kill onto the Redstones, it wasn't enough to secure anybody else, but Django, 35% of the way back to an ultimate already, just on the back of the follow-up damage from that fight, and kills aplenty for Saints.
Yeah, Django saw his opportunity there. The second the Redstones turned around, his shield was faced the other way, and so he was completely exposed and just laid down that Earth Shadow.
But it's in terms of ultimate combos, Invincible's looking pretty strong here. They're 95% of the way to the EMP. In fact, EMP online, and we've got 2 big tank ultimates in over the top that could really spell trouble for Saints unless some of these defensive ults from the supports on Saints are really on point.
And this is going to be where Saints are probably going to try and to maybe bait a little bit out, especially things like, well, the rally will be used as they engage, but because Invincibles only have a minute and a half left to go, Saints kind of can play about with this, you know?
Yeah, but here we go. Aethon looking to try and get into position, but got detected and taken right out of the fight. But Django pouring in the damage onto that Graviton Surge. Just Django with that kill feed. No, his Squire once in on the action. Nick's taking out Hikaru to round out that team fight. And they have knocked 2 minutes off of the defensive point here. And Invincibles only have 1 minute to push this to completion. So they're already in a position where their time bank, if they do push to completion, is not going to be anywhere near Saints.
Yeah, they have less than 20 seconds now if they even hope to beat the time bank.
There's a big EMP with the Graviton Surge in over the top, and Redstone's in and swinging, but it's not going to be enough because we've got the sound barrier, we've got the Transcenders. Hack comes off, finds 4 on the attacking side of Invincibles, and still no kills coming out. The Chlassi and Nyx, those Brigitas, doing some lifting for their teams. It's not going to be enough though. Django again in the kill feed. Redstones finds a big shatter, but not a lot coming out of it. Just takes out Harjo, and oh, here we go. This is the momentum we needed. Atcher and Redstones in the kill feed, finally starting to get a bit of momentum. But again, we are going to see the overtime wick come into effect before we are anywhere close to capping this point.
Yeah, this means that Invincibles now, they've got to stay very close to that point, otherwise the wick will count down. And actually, it's just a good thing for them that Harjo doesn't have the EMP ready, but it does mean them being stuck in this one place is going to make them so much more vulnerable.
Yeah, there we go. Harjo on the high ground, looking to try and get a hack off. Just managing to get it off, not securing any damage in on the top of that. Magic Marv finally got the name right, taking out Aethon. There's the Graviton Surge. Where's the follow-up damage? There it is from the Lucio, from the support lineup, taking out pretty much everybody from Invincibles there. I haven't seen the tank get a look in actually on the kill feed.
I love that boop there from Magic Marv at the end, because the Graviton Surge actually kept Invincibles on the point, but using that boop pushed them all away from the point long enough that the overtime wick could count all the way down. And of course Saints managed to take Harjo.
Harjo again, especially with that particular intro, looking like it was going to go to evade, but no, another big EMP, lots of huge EMPs this round, and yeah, completely fight-winning ultimates, just completely turned that on its head.
And things are being shaken up now because now we're 1-1.
Yeah.
This is not going to be a complete steamroll. This is a series.
No, this might mean that I've got to stay overnight. I might have to get a hotel if this goes all the way.
Oh yeah, same.
Oh yeah.
But you know, the next map is of course going to be Volskaya, and Volskaya has kind of more in common with the control maps, as you actually have to take a point and defend one area, really. It's quite different to how you play an escort map. So actually it's really interesting to think about what we might see. I'm gonna use my big brain and assume maybe a Sombra.
Well, we have seen a lot of Sombra. It's not completely outside the bounds of possibility. I'm a little bit concerned. We've seen these teams actually be very, very even, and a 2CP map can go for quite a lot of rounds. So I hope you've got some fluids, guys. I hope you've got some snacks, because we could be in for the long haul on the snowy streets of Volskaya Industries.
Well, Invincibles are going to be starting it off on the defense, and it'll be really interesting to see if Evade actually does stick with this Mei, which is kind of interesting on Volskaya. You know, I always say about how Mei walls, you can use them to block off a choke point and an entranceway, but actually you have a very, very wide one on Volskaya A, and there's actually a lot of space for rotations and for teams to go around. So really, if he's going to stay on the Mei, you want to see him using the primary fire more as his big sort of crux, I guess, how he's going to be going against.
Yeah, and you know, we're currently set up ready to go with Evade on the Mei. We've seen him be very impactful on Genji and on Hanzo, two DPS, projectile DPS characters. So if these icicles are as good as the Hanzo arrows and the Genji shurikens, then I see this being a pretty good pick.
Yeah, I do agree, and you know, of course, you can use the ice block as well to stall out if you're left on the point and you want to kind of stop things from ticking along. But it's like Saints actually, they're going to turn around and change things up here.
Yeah, they've seen what Invincibles have on the defensive hold, and they're going to swap back. We all know this composition. It's the Sombra variant of Goats. We've seen Harjo. Whoa, we're actually going for a complete swap. Harjo running onto the Lucio. They are going to be running the Zenyatta Goats into Invincible's Mei variant.
Yeah, you'll be able to use that Discord Orb now, probably on the
big wall.
Big
Look
wall.
at that, separating out quite a number of people. No kills on the back of it yet, has stalled the momentum from that push. And we're going to see the freeze coming through, deflected in large part by Django's shield. They're going to go all the way back around, so we have now got Saints on point, and we're going to be key looking for who gets the first kill, but it's pretty even. We've lost both Brigittas and we've lost Django, and if you lose your main tank, that is not a good position to be in. The Redstones with the Fire Strike, with the hammer, taking down Saints.
Yeah, and actually being able to use that freeze against the tanks of a Goat's composition can make it your life pretty difficult. And of course, you know, when you're running this 3-3, you want to be able to kind of like go down on one target or focus on one thing, and because of what Invincibles are running, it actually means that you can always have someone on the side who is able to deal in damage that maybe Saints aren't paying attention to.
Yeah, we do have ultimates online though. Django with the Earth Shatter, and speaking of which, out it comes, doesn't get anything. Sound Barrier in, over the top. Django secures a kill onto Classy, and we've seen Redstones commit the ultimate and a Graviton Surge and a Diva Bomb and a Lucio. Needs to be a big Diva Bomb to clear the point. Gets two, takes out Aethon and Evade, and we're in to clear up. Saints looking ready to cap this point.
Yeah, and using that boob as well from Harjo to be able to actually allow the self-destruct to access those heroes and bring them down, and that really was what allowed them to go through, take this point pretty decisively. They've got a fairly healthy time bank of 5 minutes, well, just under 6 minutes, going into this next round. It's looking like Invincibles are actually going to stick with what they've been playing so far. They pretty much have the Blizzard now.
Yeah, Blizzard needs to be big there. They've got to watch out for the Diva. Diva caught in the Graviton Surge. Ice Wall comes out, securing a bit of a separation there, but the Sound Barrier helps keep Django alive as they back slightly out of the point. We do have one more ult left online. Django has the, well, Django had the Earth Shatter, but Evade with the Blizzard is going to secure a point hold for Invincibles.
I think what Evade was trying to do there with the wall was trying to block the line of sight from the Lucio and prevent the Sound Barrier from actually being able to access, particularly the main tank and Django there. But actually it didn't work. He still managed to get it, and so managed to provide that healing and keep them up a little bit. But nonetheless, Invincibles have been able to take the, well, not take the point, but maintain their control over the point, hold Saints back. But Django's going to be coming in with one of those deadly Earth Shadows.
Yeah, and not a lot online for Invincibles, and in fact, once the Earth Shadow out of the way, not a lot left online for Saints either. So we may see a few dry aborted pushes. We may see them just try and get in and brute force their way onto this point. Earth Shatter comes in, doesn't find anything. No, does find Atcha, but there's no follow-up there. Atcha staying alive, and Atcha and Hikari both have their defensive ultimates online. Chimpy's generated a Graviton Surge. They're just going to have to wait out some of those. Ooh, the defensive Shatter comes back in over the top, but it's not going to secure anything. We have had every ult thrown in as it's coming online, meaning that neither team is able to actually secure any kills. Well, there we go. As I say it, Django finds the Redstones with the Fire Strike, meaning they are up in this fight. Kyria taking out the opposite number. Graviton Surge comes in, but there's nobody there to actually follow up on the damage. Evade finds time to get the Blizzard, doesn't get eaten by the Diva, has secured enough space for his team to come get in on the point and start bringing out some of those kills. It's tanks alive on the point. Django falling low, gonna fall down, and just Chimpy left on the point, taken down, and a nice hold from Invincibles, and I think largely in part from the Blizzard of Evade just buying so much time for the rest of the team to come back in and recontest.
I really like the use of the Blizzard directly after the Graviton Surge there, because it holds the team in the same place for a much longer amount of time. It gave the rest of Invincibles the time to come out, and of course the Redstones came out, used his charge, actually brought down Django, who tried to charge into him at the same time, and it meant that Invincibles could kind of go in and bully down on the tanks of Saints, who were the only ones left on the point at that point.
Yeah, but we've got a couple of really impactful ults for Saints. We've got the Earth Shatter, we've got the Self-Destruct, we've got the Sound Barrier.
Oh no, the Zen got left behind.
Oh, poor Zen. Guys, you've got to wait for your monk. Your monk is important. You need him. So yeah, any of these ults put in the right way before any defensive ults can come online for Invincibles is going to be key in securing this point for Saints.
Yeah, we can see here the Redstone's actually staying under the platform there to try and prevent himself from actually being caught in the Earth Shatter.
Earth Shatter coming in, takes out Redstone. Classy taking out Hardjo means that we are even in this fight, but you do not want to be Invincibles without your main tank. Diva Bomb coming in over the top, doesn't find anything, but Nyx, Curio, Hikari, Curio, Nyx just piling in the kills and the frags for the support players for Saints.
You can actually evade there using the ice block to heal himself, but because it wasn't on the point, it just meant the Saints can kind of turn around and go back to the point and start building up those ticks.
Yeah, you've got to want in and get the recontest because you've nearly got the Blizzard. We saw how impactful that was last time. They've just got to buy a bit of time to actually get them in on the point. Transcendence pop just to try and buy some space, keep his team alive, waiting for Evade, presumably to come back in and clear this as we saw last time. But it's going to be really, really difficult. There is the Blizzard. It has secured a few people, but there's no one really there to follow up with the damage. It does secure the kill just from the Blizzard itself onto Django. The Redstones with the swap onto the Hamster is not going to be enough. We are now just playing for how much time they can burn off this clock.
It is, yeah, there we go. Saints finally managed to pick down the rest of Invincibles, just bring them down a little bit and secure themselves that final tick at the end there. It was very backwards and forwards, as you say. I was just thinking, oh yeah, I liked what this person was doing, and then suddenly someone else would come in from the other team and do something as well. Like, for example, Ethan managed to stay alive for actually a surprisingly long amount of time as the Zarya there on the point, before Invincibles were actually able to come back and drag the fight out a little bit longer. But I also like the fact that Saints used the Diva to actually push Hikari back and not allow that Zenyatta to access the rest of the team and provide the healing or the Discord orb.
Yeah, it was incredibly back and forth, kind of difficult to cast on occasion because by the time you've said, oh, that was an amazing play, another amazing play has happened to bring back a tortured metaphor for early in this evening's games. This is a lot like jazz improv between multiple people coming back and forth saying, yeah, do you know, I like what you're putting down there, but how about this? It's like, that was good, but how about this in response? So, you know, it's been a really musical game of Overwatch so far.
Jazz night here.
It is jazz night. Bring your fedoras, guys. It's jazz night.
Please don't bring your fedoras.
Please don't bring your fedoras.
So, Saints now, it's their own turn to be running a defense, and actually looking like they're going to be running a little bit more of a Volsky Classic, which I nearly said double sniper, but actually they're going to be running a triple sniper with Curio on the Ana, and I love seeing Anna's on this point. She can set up right at the back. Not only can she, you know, use, if you run Ana on a scoped sniper, she actually is a hit scan, so you're not worrying about a projectile that's going to be eaten or whatever. Not that Invincibles have a Diva right now, but you can also use those anti-nades as well, and you can actually aim them straight into the choke point.
I think it's a really interesting attacking setup coming from the Invincibles because you've got, you know, you've got the dive character, you've got Evade on the Genji. We know how impactful he can be, but he's in a position to get really far ahead of the rest of his team. Redstone's taking Django out so early in the fight is huge. And Nyx does manage to get a kill onto Chlassi, and buying space from a Magimov to get in and res Django means that actually we're pretty even on this fight, so we may see this go for the defensive hold.
I mean, maybe. We just saw the DPS ultimates of Invincibles jump up so quickly and well above Saint, especially as Saints lost one of their members. They lost Hardjo, but, you know, Nyx here just...
Yeah, absolutely on a tear. But I do like this. Just the long-range poke coming in from Evade takes Nyx right the way down. I imagine Nyx frantically saying, heal me, heal me, heal me, heal me, heal me, heal me, heal me. And we have had Magimar finally dive in and bring them back up to full health. But a nice hole there. Not able to get a tick for Invincibles, but they have generated that incredibly impactful Earth Shatter.
It's very interesting to me, actually, to see Hardjo switch over onto the Soldier now, because one of the benefits of running a Hanzo is he has that lunge ability, and you're able to get out of the way and get to another cover, where a Soldier doesn't really have that. He can sprint, but he can't jump.
Oh, but he does have that burst damage of the Helix Rocket taking Atcha 6 out of the fight, and of course there's no res online for Invincibles, so they are going to be down in this fight, presumably just going to want to hunker down and buy a little bit of time for Atcha to get back into the fight, but it does mean that Saints are able to just stand there and pepper in damage and build some of these ultimates. So we've got the Self-Destruct, we've got the Valkyrie, we've got the Nano Boost, which are going to be particularly impactful. Evade and Hikari pop their ultimate, so we've got the nano boosted Dragon Blade going in on the defensive there, looking to try and deflect the nade or the sleep, and Curio definitely getting the better of that exchange, not getting the kill, but able to outplay Evade on the Genji. Incredibly good.
Actually seeing Django getting res there, able to jump straight back into the fight just to pop that Primal Rage.
Yeah, just going to try and keep the point alive a little bit longer for now. Just keeping the fight going is all you're looking for, really, with this fight. But he does secure the kill onto Hikari, managing to dive in right into the top, looking to try and burst down the Lucio, but it's not enough. Lucio getting in, managing to pop the sound barrier, but it's not going to be enough. Again, Harjo with the burst damage from the Helix Rocket, taking out the Redstones, looking like this might be Saints looking very strong on defense.
With a minute and a half left to go, Invincibles still haven't even managed to take a tick. This is not the same Invincibles that we saw on Oasis, and I think there's kind of like a disparity here between almost like the patience of different members of this team, because the Redstones is playing very patiently. We saw him standing and shielding when Evade got slept, and he wasn't desperate to move forward, but then we saw Evade pop a Dragon Blade before he'd even reached his target, and actually Curie was able to use his nade and have the healing from Magic Marv to survive through that ordeal.
Yeah, and support there from Magic Marv, I think, incredibly important. It's really heartening to see supports peel for one another rather than just yeeting their way out of the situation. Oh, but Nyx with an early kill onto Hikari. Nyx with the double, taking out Evade also, so that Graviton Surge comes in and doesn't really do an awful lot, because that is all Nyx in the kill feed. Chimpy taking out the Redstones means that this is going to be another hold. 37 seconds left on the clock, and boy, you cannot ignore Nyx, because they are just going to pick your team apart.
Yeah, exactly.
Nyx picks your team.
That's very funny.
Thanks.
Very good rhyme.
One tries.
But that's one of the really dangerous things about putting that Graviton Surge there just on the edge as they did, because it means that if they want to cleave into it, if they want to allow the Redstones to move forward, or, you know, whatever, they've got Nyx directly opposite them, just ready to headshot them as soon as they come out of the door.
Yeah, but Evade does finally manage to get some use out of that Dragon Blade, taking Chimpy out of the fight, but Saints have two ultimates. They've got the Primal Rage, but Chimpy is down. Chimpy is not able to contribute to the fight, so they need to be quick about getting back here. But Harjo on an absolute tear, taking out the Redstones, taking out Aethon, taking out Evade. Hikari does manage to buy some space to get the Redstones back into the fight, but Magic Marv gets the res onto Nyx, and Saints looking like they're in a position to completely full hold this point. But no, oh, look at this, Diva Bomb gets in and does get Chalassi. There's nobody left on the point.
Oh, actually,
I wasn't quick enough. Got to boost onto the point, buddy. Otherwise, they're going to cap it.
He was so...
He's going to be shouting so loud.
No,
we could not broadcast those comms.
With that defense matrix, you know, tentatively thinking, you know, there could be a threat out here, and he was just maybe a meter away from the point there, and Atcher actually really had a hard time that one round, because he also got slept up on the balcony as well, and was just basically out of the fight. And honestly,
I'd say just looking at that play of the game, I love to see a play of the game with a Mei, because she's a non-meta character, but I especially love a play. Okay.
After seeing Windstrike.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. I take it back. If you're Windstrike, then fine. But I love to see a Mei play of the game, but I do love a play of the game that involves one Reinhardt charging another Reinhardt and himself off the edge. I think that makes for really good viewing.
I love it. It's like, okay, it's worth it for me to bring you down. I'll die
yeah,
as well.
If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me.
But actually, one of the like big things about this is that, you know, Invincibles, they showed dominance. They showed so much skill so far in this series, and they weren't even able to take point A. Yeah,
it's really been. You know, when you look at how these teams have been performing, it's felt so even for a lot of the maps we've seen so far this evening, except for Volskaya, where there was no offensive push. You know, it was so. It felt disjointed. It felt mistimed. So yeah, I wonder what's happened in Invincibles there to sway things this way.
It felt almost like Invincibles didn't necessarily know exactly whom they were going to go for. You know, every time Saints had their sort of like list of priorities, and Invincibles were just trying to make a push. And I wonder if maybe the Redstones switching on to Winston earlier than he did would have changed things. But, you know, as we move into Hollywood here, it's actually looking like the Redstones going to stick with the classic Reinhardt.
Well, you know, it's classic for a reason. It works. And, you know, they've got to be expecting something similar coming in on this point. We've seen both Saints and Invincibles predominantly running the Reinhardt here. They've got to be expecting, if not a mirror matchup completely, certainly a mirror main tank.
Yeah, and on this first point here, it isn't too uncommon to see the 3-3 compositions being run. I personally like seeing something a little bit more exciting, and you do often get that moving into the second point. But here goes, Saints are actually coming out now, and see Evade just trying to build up some charge using that barrier.
Yeah, but have to be very careful because they were looking at the aggression coming in from Saints. Invincibles were almost in a very, very bad position, and in fact are in a bad position. Too far forward, not able to get back out in time. The Redstones falling early in the fight to Chimpy on the high charged area. Getting the D-Mech, the follow through onto Aethon means that Saints are absolutely tearing onto this point.
This is why you need to be sure that your Zarya is using those bubble timings absolutely perfectly. We've seen Evade use the personal barrier a few times now where, you know, it's been really great for him, but it's not just about you, and actually part of the reason that you run a Zarya in these kinds of compositions is specifically so that you can provide that projected barrier to your main tank. That's 200 HP that gets absorbed by the barrier before it even touches your main tank, and if you don't use it at the exact right moment, they're going to go down, and so is your team.
Yeah, the Saints in a really strong position here. They've got the Earth Shatter, they've nearly got the Transcendence online. Nyx has already popped the rally in this fight, so Invincibles don't really have anything to counter. Redstone's going down so early in that last fight means that he's a long way from getting the Earth Shatter. Nearly falling there, nothing coming out of that Earth Shatter, and ult starting to tick online for Invincibles. There we go, Sound Barrier in on the fight. We've got the Graviton Surge comes in, gets 3 in it, but again, there's no follow-up damage. The Redstone's just shielding into that. Chimpy and Nyx following up, the Diva Bomb gets 2, and that is it, Saints continuing this roll right the way through Streets.
I would have liked for when Invincibles there use their sound barrier to maybe move forward a little bit, because it meant that once they used the Graviton Surge and they started to try and deal damage into it, actually the 750 HP shield was already gone, and it meant that self-destruct came straight in and they were able to be taken down very, very quickly without actually getting any value off of the Graviton Surge as they would have perhaps liked to.
Yeah, and again, looking to be not in a great position, so Redstone's finally about to get their first Earth Shatter of the game. Django looking to be the better in this matchup. Sound Barrier comes in, that's going to be the key. That's going to be the aggression coming in for Saints. Does trigger the Transcendence coming in, so no damage in over the top of Invincibles, and they do secure a kill. Django going down means that we might start to see a defensive hold for Invincibles, but Chassis going down. Look at these players taking out their opposite numbers. Nyx taking down Chassis, Evade taking out Chimpy. There's the D-Mech from the Redstones onto Magic Mike, and Aethon securing the final kill means that finally Invincibles have found some fuel in the tank to push Saints back.
Yeah, it was really risky from the Redstones as well there, because he was on about half HP that entire push forward, and he just didn't receive any healing until he got the Harmony Orb right at the end there. And these are the kind of small things I'd like to see Invincibles kind of clean up on, because yeah, they won the fight, and that's great. I'm so happy for them. But you know, when you know that the opposite main tank is going to be coming in with an Earth Shatter into the next fight because you killed him off just before he got it in that fight, you need to make sure that you've got these things like finessed.
Well, speaking of finesse, that was a beautiful Graviton Surge right in, and the Diva Bomb over the top secures 2, and the D-Mech. So Invincibles gonna rout Saints once again.
Yeah, that was a lot more decisive, and I think the Invincibles probably now have a little bit more confidence. You know, Volskaya maybe will have knocked them a little bit, and you know, they have these 2 defensive ultimates, they have the Transcendence and the Sound Barrier ready to go, which means that really whatever Saints bring in the next fight, they have that protection. They just have to ensure that their positioning is perfect so that the supports don't get caught in, for example, an Earth Shatter.
But we do have both defensive ults. In fact, only defensive ults for Invincibles. Nothing there really for an offensive push. So Saints with everything to play for here, particularly with the Graviton Diva Bomb combo. Even the Earth Shatter Diva Bomb combo. Nice, up high into the sky. Got to be quick to get that shield up, and it finds 3. Magic Marv and the D-Mech. Saints coming up big with that Bigger Bang combo.
Perfectly timed. Managing to get those 3 kills as well.
Wow, the Diva Stagger just with that little 5 HP nudge with the shield bash there. She's still
5
up.
HP, remember when 50?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, well... So many
flying tackle
going on
Redstone's going down. Django with a fire strike onto Redstones, and look, Saints aggressing all the way onto the point. Just 1 person left to push the payload. 3 minutes 17 seconds left on the clock. It's looking very good for Saints right now.
really is. I'm really hoping the Redstones will be able to bring out a really good Earth Shatter in this next fight, which he's just had come online. We've seen what these two Reinhardts can do. Django's got his own as well, so honestly I think it's going to be who can get the most out of their Earth Shatter.
Yeah, Curia's got to be careful here. Curia needs to play right in the back line so as not to get Shatter to help keep the team alive, although the Shatter there we go, right in the back, zooms in with the speed boost from the Zenyatta Coalescence, keeping the entirety of the team alive. So both of those Transcendences committed, both of those Earth Shatters committed, but the Redstone swinging into the Graviton Surge is gonna send Saints right the way back to spawn, and again, just the Baby Diva with the casual kick there from the Zenyatta taking her out of the fight at the end.
It's actually such a shame that he didn't use the Earth Shatter in the previous fight, because he would have been able to build up so much of it from the cleave into that Graviton Surge, but that was just such a beautiful kind of dissection of Saints there, sending them straight back. And you know, Saints have 2 minutes 20 to go. They got a little bit of time to be able to push forward here, but if Invincibles bring out things like that again, they're going to be struggling to get it to the end.
Yeah, but we do have, Magic Marv does have the Diva Bomb online, and this Ryan Shield is not looking great shape, but nothing coming out of it. The Redstone's taking out Django. The Graviton Surge itself taking out Vade is pretty unusual, and the Diva Bomb in over the top may have overcommitted with the Diva Bomb because so many of the team for Invincibles were down already. But again, Saints push Invincibles off the payload.
Yeah, Hikari there just using the Transcendence to actually try and keep the payload still, allowing the rest of his team to come out of spawn because it's getting so close. They're even going to touch?
Oh, they are just managing to get Atcha in onto the point to start that recon test. Earth Shatter coming in does help get Curio in on the fight. The Redstone's falling down. Magic Marv taking out Chlassi. This is going to be all over, bar the crying, surely.
It's looking pretty much like it's Saints. Yeah, we go.
Yeah.
Getting that third point. They've full completed Hollywood. Invincibles know what they're going to do now.
Yeah, it's quite a lot to ask, though, because Invincibles, yes, they got kind of knocked off the first point, but once we got into the second point, particularly once we got close to capping point B, they suddenly found that defensive juice that they needed to start pushing Saints
juice.
back. They found the juice, and the juice was defense.
I think this is the thing, they just need to ensure that they're all supporting each other. You know, I mentioned it earlier about how the Redstones wasn't maybe getting the support he needed, and it's something that Saints are doing very well. And so Invincibles, you know, when you want to stay together and stay coherent and not like end up in these 5 versus 6 situations, these are the things that you need to be looking out for. And particularly on a defense, because if you can kind of knock one brick out of the wall, then the wall can come tumbling down. And that is exactly what Saints are going to be going for.
Yeah. Going back to what you're saying about one brick coming out of the wall, sending it something down, a bit of a misstep from Redstones early on in that fight, getting taken out by being just that little bit far forward from the rest of his team means that they had no ultimates left online to stop Saints until they got almost all the way to point B. So if we can avoid missteps like that, then this is still Invincibles to play for.
Yeah, but Invincibles, they're going to be bringing out the Sombra.
Yeah, well, it's worked for them before. I don't see why they wouldn't want to run it here.
Yeah,
get in and dislodge some of those tanks.
Again, they are doing it in place of a Diva, and so it means that Chimpy should be looking out for these opportunities to run the, to play the Graviton Surge into the team.
Yeah, it's a risk you take. The Sombra, obviously a very powerful pick, but the defense matrix, seeing as it's not an ultimate, it's just a thing you can pop on a fairly short cooldown, is so powerful, especially for dealing with the enemy's area.
And here we go, Invincibles making their push in.
Yeah, early positioning from Saints, maybe slightly better than Invincibles there. Not falling early on in the fight, not losing your Reinhardt early is always big, but we've got Aethon in the back looking for maybe some high ground positioning, try and get a hack onto a key target, take them out of the fight. Having to get out of there, having been focused somewhat by the Zenyatta in that fight, trying to pick him off as he's an easy target. Maybe not quite successful there, but Evade taking out Django is big. This is exactly what you need if you are going to push onto the point, losing the main tank in that fight. And a nice pin doesn't secure the kill, but the follow-up with the hammer certainly does. I think the Redstones doing very good work there to actually secure the kill whilst the subject of a Zenyatta Discord Orb. So maybe not in quite such a quick time, but looking like Invincibles are going to cap point A.
Yeah, Nick's getting hacked there by Aethon meant that the Redstones was allowed to move forward and actually aggress. And yeah, he got a little bit of a shield bash afterwards. He got a bit of a shield bash afterwards, but he was still in a position at that point where he could kind of just swing in and bring Nyx down. And it wasn't the only thing that happened in that fight, but it was one of those big things that you kind of want to be looking out for and how these hacks are being used to benefit the rest of the team.
Aethon not quite quick enough on the relocator there, falling. Trying to build a bit of an early ult there, not quite working out for them. Rally comes online for Nyx, and that's the signal to go. Saints are going to aggress into Invincibles, trying to push them back. They need to be careful though, because Invincibles do have ultimates to play with. Either the Earth Shatter or the Graviton Surge could be big in turning this team fight. They've just got to get the shield down briefly. Graviton Surge right into the strut of the supporting structure. Graviton Surge not able to find any kills. Earth Shatter comes in and finds 2 and 3, and that's going to be the Redstones down out of the fight. Magic Marv there. Big EMP does find most of Saints, but again, not a lot of follow-up damage. Evade taking out Django. Aethon with a follow-up. And Invincibles looking like they may just be in a position to get the upper hand in this fight. We do have the Graviton online, but there's nobody really there to follow up from damage if Chimpy did get it off. No, Chimpy falling down before they can really get anything out of that.
Yeah, Invincibles finally getting the upper hand in that fight, but it did come with a price. They did use a number of their ultimates there, which, you know, okay, great. They managed to continue the payload moving forward, but that also means that if Saints, you know, are aggressive enough, they manage to build up their own ultimate charges in this next fight, that could put them in the advantageous position.
Yeah, and of course, Invincible's in a very good position defensively here, as they've got both the Sound Barrier and the Transcendence, and we have seen them stack those previously. Luckily, they have stacked them again. They've used both the Transcendence and the Coalescence. Really a misstep there. Magic Marv with the double, taking out both supports, and Invincibles with a bit of a misstep on the support ultimates, pushed right off point.
Yeah, it just didn't take long for Saints to bring them down there, especially that stun added to just to sort of give extra pain to Atcha on the end there. Not only did he use the ult at the same time as his Zen, not only did he, you know, he got stunned, and then he got kills. Not a good time for him.
No, but Aethon in the back line again, looking to try and just build a bit of ultimate. We've seen how impactful these EMPs can be, especially when you pair it with something like the Redstone's Earth Shatter. We just need a little bit of patience from this team here as to try and build these ults that they need to unlock the puzzle that is the Saints' defense.
Yeah, it looks like the Redstones is actually just trying to find his opening here. Oh, but he's going to get stunned.
Yeah, luckily not enough follow-up there to actually capitalise on the stun, and the Discord Orb both on the Reinhardt means it's very difficult to get in. EMP comes in, then the Earth Shatter in over the top, finds 2 and 3. Hikari gets the kill onto Django, but no more follow-up. There we go. Chlassi taking out the opposite number. Invincibles looking to try and push this advantage and get some aggression. Evade does have the Graviton Surge. Hopefully doesn't need to use it. Just the Baby Diva, so hard to hit such a small hitbox. Does get it with the right click, and then just the Zenyatta left on the point. Django there coming storming back in, but it's not going to be enough. There are too many of the Invincibles left online for Saints to push them off the point.
Yeah, Invincibles now going to be able to get 2 points on the board there, adding a minute and a half to their time bank, giving them just over 3.5 minutes ready to go. So they're doing well. It's a healthy time bank. They're managing to move forward, but of course this is the part of the map where these big, long, drawn-out fights can happen, especially because of the spawn advantage that the defenders do possess.
Yeah, but Invincibles are being really, really aggressive here. They're pushing right up, and they've got ults in spades. They've got the Graviton Surge. They're about to get the Earth Shatter. They've got Hikari's Transcendence. They've nearly got the Sound Barrier. Saints looking in a similarly strong position, but the key is they don't have the support ults to try and mitigate some of this damage. So Saints need to play really, really careful and conservatively here in this next fight.
Conservative, I don't think is a word that Saints generally go by. Look at these two Gravitons.
Yeah, dueling Gravitons, Diva bombing in over the top, not able to find anything, does manage to successfully get the remake. Redstones going down is big here, especially when we've got Django online with the Earth Shatter, finding 2, gets the follow-up with the kill on Chlassi and Evade, and that is going to be Invincibles once more knocked off that car.
Yeah, but Saints focusing so much on what was going on in that Earth Shatter. We had Aethon on the side there, being able to build up so close to his next EMP, which he's about to have. Here we go. So that means coming into this next fight, Invincibles are actually going to have that EMP available and maybe be able to bring down Saints off the back of that.
Yeah, key to this is exactly where Curio is going to be positioned. They have to know this is coming in. Losing, yeah, there we go.
Curio.
Key, such good positioning from Curio, getting in with the Transcenders, completely mitigating those 2 ultimates committed by Invincibles just from that one positional decision. Really, really good play.
And I like the fact that the Redstones is getting the armor pack there off of Chlassi, being able to continue to move forward. Although we hear these hacking noises going on, Nyx is not having a good day.
No, it's not, but we've got the sound barrier in play. It's not going to be if it's going to run out enough for Atcha6 to take Harjo out of the fight. Evade takes down Nyx, and we have Ultimate again online for Invincibles. So we've got the Earth Shadow, we've got the Graviton Surge, and Key again. We've got the Transcendence, and this is going to be a really difficult position to come back from if you're the Saints. Graviton Surge in for both of our Zaryas, but the kills are going to come in for Invincibles. Whoa, there we go, Magic Marv with the Diva Boy over the top of Chimpy taking themselves out of the fight, and it's just the poor supports left on the cart for Invincibles. They've got to do their best. It's Support City here. Wrecking Ball coming out just to try and dislodge, and that is going to be it. Saints managing just to stop the cap there.
I think it was perhaps a bad idea for Invincibles to sort of stagger themselves there. They should have just kind of encouraged themselves to die, maybe, rather than trying to actually fight back, because they do have time to make this next engage. They've got this Earth Shadow ready to go, and they can potentially build up the EMP and the sound barrier as well in this fight. There's still a chance.
Yeah, but again, I'm going to point to Curio. Curio, almost with the Coalescence online, with the Transcendence online, just needs to watch their positioning. But look at this. Aethon knows. Aethon is looking for the Zenyatta in this hack. Gets it, takes out Curio, takes out Nyx, and this is going to be such good play there from Aethon, allowing the rest of the team just to steamroll Saints off the point and finally start to get progress on capping this point. And there we go, with 28 seconds left on the clock.
Absolutely perfectly calculated play there from Invincibles. I was really happy with that, because so far these EMPs have had their value mitigated by Curio coming out with the Transcendence every single time to provide healing to the team and protect them. And so the fact that Aethon was like, you know what, I'm gonna go on straight on the supports, and you bring them down, they can't do anything, they can't provide anything to the team. The sound barrier comes out on your own team, and then you are able to bring down the rest of the rest of Saints, who yes, they didn't get caught in the EMP, but they also weren't going to get any support from their support heroes. And I just thought it was very clean, very calculated, and this is the sort of play that I want to see come out of Invincibles more, rather than allowing themselves to be outclassed.
Okay, but a 51-second difference in time bank for Saints over Invincibles, is that enough to really be a decider in this sort of matchup?
It can be, because it really depends on what happens. Well, I was going to say on point A, but really at any point you can be held longer than you perhaps want. I'm just thinking back to games that I've seen where like one team will have a minute and another team will have 6 minutes, and actually the 6-minute team loses. So you don't want to be too fooled by how time banks work in this game. So, you know, Saints here, they got a lot to play for, because this is, if they win this, they win this series. If you go on to the next map, Invincible's already shown they can win control. That's going to be a little bit more sweaty palms.
Yeah. But again, we're going to see them coming in with this Zenyatta Goat with a Sombra. Again, we've seen the Sombra be incredibly impactful. Aethon absolutely key in securing that last fight in the first round. Nyx taking out the Redstones first means that Invincibles, but no, both Reinhardt's out of the fight. Django and 3 stones down, and Evade secures the DMEC onto Magic Marv, which means this is definitely Invincible's game to win. There we go, taking out the Baby Diva, securing, but taking her out of the way so she can't get that remech. Just the supports left, and all 6 of Invincibles barreling into that cafe, looking to take out these supports in cap point A.
It really looked there like Invincibles were all kind of going for the same targets. The target calling was actually very clean. Evade, as you said, being very aggressive, really was the front line solely on his own in that fight, but brought down that the mech, and just allowed Invincibles to roll through. So now they are in overtime, so they can't get off the cart, but they are moving on.
Yeah, but they do have key. They've got the look at that.
We go.
Just the cockiness.
Just walk straight up.
Straight through the Ryan Shield, pops it on the floor. The Redstone securing the kill onto Nyx. Big Shatter comes in, gets 3 on the floor, but the sound barrier coming in over the top. EMP comes in on top of that even, meaning that Evade is going to be getting in and doing all that delicious high charge Zarya damage, getting halfway to getting the next already. But I do like just how closely Saints are sticking to that payload just to try and buy as much time as possible.
I'm not sure I liked that last Transcendence coming out from Hikari there, because the fight was already won at that point. They didn't necessarily need to use it, and they'd already used a lot of ultimates in that fight to secure the win against against Saints. But nonetheless, they are moving forward with the maximum speed on the payload. But Saints, they're coming in with the Graviton and the Earth Shatter. Here we go.
Earth Shatter goes right into the Zarya orb, but it's not going to be with no Diva there to absorb any of that damage coming in. You can just shatter for days. Diva Bomb in just as the fireworks celebration at the end, finally catching at your 6. So, not that much further to go, really, for our next attacking phase.
Yeah, Invincibles didn't get super far with that. Here we go, 82.13 meters. So that is what Saints are going to be aiming for. But if Invincibles can put on a really solid defense on the first point, you can burn down that time bank. But you know, when we think back to the first round for both of these teams, they actually both managed to attack and take point A very, very quickly. So, I don't know, maybe we'll see a similar thing, maybe we'll see something different.
Yeah, maybe we're going to see something slightly different to the triple tank, triple support lineup that we've seen coming out. Maybe just trying to throw Saints for a loop with something more interesting, but nope, of course, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Aethon on the Sombra, everybody else on their standard lineup for this triple tank. Well, it's not triple tank, triple support with the Sombra, is it? It's
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. There we go.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that Aethon, well, I'd like to see Aethon getting a lot of value out of the Sombra, which of course he has been doing so far, but the EMP is actually one of the slowest building ultimates in the game. So you can't hang around being passive, particularly when, you know, you've only got the card a short way, and this team has almost double the time bank that you did for yourself. So he's going to have to try and be a little bit more aggressive to build up the ultimate without putting himself in a position where he's going to be so easily taken down and sent back to spawn.
Yeah, but a really good early Fire Strike from the Redstones, getting 25% of their ultimate in one Fire Strike, but Aethon, too clumsy in the back, gets taken out by Chimpy, so you're in 5v6 already, so I suspect we're going to see Saints come rolling right the way through this point. Oh, Magic Marv taking out the Redstones, falls to Curio. Curio taking out Schlassie as well. Got to watch out for the Zenyatta, guys. He's basically a DPS character at this point.
Yeah, you're quite right there, that Aethon just didn't have the opportunity to use the Translocator to get back, because not only was he discorded, he was also stunned, which meant that the damage had already been done to him before he even had the time to, you know, hit his keyboard and go back. So Saints taking it very, very quickly. They've got a minute on the clock to get just a short distance further.
Yeah, and no ults yet online for anybody. Django looking slightly healthier in terms of getting towards that Earth Shatter, but they need to be quick about getting it. 93% of the way is maybe not going to be enough, but they've got to stay nice and close to that payload. Right, so we finally got an ultimate online. Earth Shatter comes in, gets 3 in it. This is huge. Big Earth Shatter coming in, and we've now got defensive ults online. Yes, Curio got hacked, but it's not going to matter. That is the entirety of Invincibles down. Saints going to be more or less uncontested as they push into the payload.
It's going to be a question here as to whether Invincibles can even get back in time. They have to make it back from spawn, and if they do, this is going to be literally just one fight. And if Saints can even get a pick as they start filtering through this choke point here, Invincibles, they're going to have a hard time. They're not going to touch.
There we go. No, we have just got Schlassie in. Very, very clever play there, sending Schlassie in around the side while the rest of the team was focused on Django. But is that going to be enough with the sound barrier in over the top? Big Earth Shatter finds 3. We still have some of that sound barrier juice online, but 2 kills for Saints. A third and a fourth coming in for Magic Marv means that there's just Schlassie left on the point. Saints looking in a very good position there.
Touch there, and Saints of course take the series 3-1, but do not let that fool you about you saying anything about how close this was. I mean, even that win there, it was done in overtime. You know, this is so close, and we've seen some really dominant play from Invincibles, but Saints there just being very, very good at winning.
Yes, thank you for this high-level analysis coming in, Gio. This is exactly why we have you on board.
You know what? You're welcome. I don't need your sarcasm. No, I said it before, but I think, of course, like the biggest issue there that happened was the fact that Aethon had to build the ultimate quickly, so you have to be aggressive, and him trying to do that ended up leading to his inevitable death in that situation. It meant that Saints could roll through the first point very quickly because you don't have that added damage being done on you, which you would have had if you'd have otherwise had, for example, I assume it was a diva they were lacking, just going by historical, but I don't actually remember from this specific example. But that is another source of damage that you were lacking. It made it easier for them to push forward. They got the payload so much of the way that they had to, and then as Invincible sort of filtered in, you had that massive Earth Shatter there, and just the resources that you needed to be able to bring down an entire team.
Yeah, but
was that analysis good enough?
It was so much better. Thank you. A+.
Thank you.
But it's one of these games where, yes, the scoreline says 3-1. But really, it was so much closer than that for a lot of that.
Say everyone's a winner.
Congrats, guys! You're all winners in our eyes. But this is one of these matches where it was millimeter differences in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
So things like Aethon making the conscious decision to come around the back and ensure that the Zenyatta was in the hack because they knew that the Transcendence was there online to counteract anything that might be coming in on the back of the damage from Saints there. So despite the fact that they weren't the victors, there was still some really, really good high-level play in there.
Yeah, and that's the thing when you have teams that have, at this kind of skill level, is it does always come down to microplays, and it does always come down to the really small things. And I'm going to be honest, if we're talking about our favorite plays of the whole game, I've got to talk about Aethon going back using the EMP on the supports, because and it's not even just a testament to how good Aethon is as a Sombra, but also how good Curio is as a support player, and the fact that he had proven through his play so far in the series how he could deal with these ultimates coming out, and that is specifically why Invincibles use the strategy to very specifically target him in order to take a win. Yeah,
that Curio Aethon matchup was easily one of my favourite interactions of that series, but that is, unfortunately, all we have time for this evening. That's our matches over and done with. So you may have been watching this and thinking to yourself, well, how can I get involved? How can I come and play in the Arena Clash? You'll have seen it just pop up on screen now. Come and find belong.gg on any of your favourite social media platforms. Find the arena that's closest to you. Come along and start playing Overwatch with the community and say, hey, when we get the new season, I'd like a chance to try out for this team. Come and get involved, and you could be on stage with some of the big names we've just been talking about now.
We'll be screaming about all the plays that you're making.
Yeah, absolutely. Screaming for days. But anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. I've been Big Hungry Phil.
I've been Gio.
And hopefully we'll see you all next week for more belong.gg Arena Clash.
I was a big traditional sports player when I was younger. I have an injury, which means I can't do this anymore, and it sort of fulfills that team aspect for me, and I really enjoy gaming from a young age anyway. My name's James Cowling. I play for the Business Strugglers, and my favourite game is League of Legends.
I've always played competitive games. I started Call of Duty, then went through to play CSGO, and when I started playing League, I just wanted to get better and needed to test myself. My name is Jermaine. My tribe is Bristol Smugglers. My favourite game at the moment is League of Legends. For the most part, currently I'm just coaching, but when I do play and sub in, I play jungle.
As a sort of big team sports player, I really enjoy being part of the competition of the Arena Clash. I'm really looking forward to representing Bristol Smugglers and helping the team out get some victories as well.
Been going, I think, for 4 seasons in a row now, and I've enjoyed it every time. Whether the seasons I didn't directly play, I was just there just to enjoy the atmosphere and just watch things happen. It's really cool. It's quite nice to kind of grow friendships between the different tribes and even rivalries.
You come down, you'll meet some really nice people who are easy to talk to, similar sort of interests, which you don't always get to meet up to in sort of school and your standard activities. So just come down and enjoy yourself. It's the most important thing.